Chapter 554. The sound waves rumbled, and a monstrous energy surged forward like a giant wave. Spiderweb-like cracks appeared on the bulletproof glass window that could withstand sniper shots. Then it exploded with a loud bang. What? Everyone was shocked. Many of the magnates were shocked. Lu Lixuan was going to rule Yanjin and take over the entire Wuxia. Who would dare to ask his fiancée, Song Shuangyan, to get out of Yanjin and provoke him? Oh no! Someone killed someone. Lu Liwei and Song Poju were killed. Mr. Shi was also severely injured. At this time, a guard whose clothes were torn and covered in blood staggered in and cried out in alarm. Someone killed someone in Songtao Manor. Many of the patriarchs present exclaimed as they looked at each other. Lu Liwei was Lu Lixuan's cousin. Although their bloodline was very distant, he was still a member of the Lu family. Song Poju was Song Shuangyan's brother, and he practiced martial arts. He was Song Shuangyan's right-hand man. Both of them were killed. It seemed that this person was going to go against the Lu family and the Song family. Lu Lixuan didn't look sad or happy after hearing that. However, there was a flash of lightning in his eyes. How dare you do this in the Song family's territory? You must be tired of living. A young master behind Lu Lixuan was enraged. He slammed the table and shouted, "Who is it? Do you think the Renaissance Alliance doesn't dare to kill anyone?" That young master was called Meng Xian, and he came from the Meng family, which was one of the top 20 families in Yanjin. He had a lot of influence in the security department, and was Lu Lixuan's right-hand man just like Yi Haochen. His anger was like the roar of a demon king, which intimidated everyone. Everyone kept quiet, and didn't dare to make a sound. "Uncle Da, go and take a look. Bring him to me." Lu Lixuan's expression didn't change. He picked up the teacup and took a sip. He was calm in the face of danger, and had a stern demeanor that would not change his expression, even if Mount Tai collapsed in front of him. He was indeed the first prince of Yanjin, and the dragon of the Lu family. Many old family masters admired him. "Yes, your highness." Behind Lu Lixuan, an honest middle-aged man in a black jacket bowed slightly and agreed. Zhao Dezhu, who was known as Uncle Da, was just Lu Lixuan's chauffeur. But the moment he straightened up, his muscles swelled, and his body seemed to have expanded a little. He really was as majestic as a mountain, incomparably heavy. It was just a simple movement of straightening his body, yet a strand of extremely strong imposing aura shot into the sky like a treasured sword being unsheathed, and it was accompanied by a violent killing intent that was like a mountain of corpses and an ocean of blood. Blood surged as it revealed its edge. The Lu family is indeed powerful. Even young Master Lu's driver has reached the transcendent state. Furthermore, he's a physique refinement expert who cultivates both internal and external martial arts. Anywhere, he could be considered a grandmaster who rules over a region. In the field, some of the internal force martial artists saw this scene, and their eyes were filled with fear. They screamed in their hearts, "He's looking for me. I'll go take a look too." Song Shuangyan's face was slightly cold. After Lu Lixuan nodded slightly, she also walked out of the Great Pine Pavilion and went straight to the front yard. By then, the birthday party in the front yard had already turned into a mess. Many rich heirs and socialites were either kneeling on the ground or standing afar. None of them dared to make a sound as they stared at Jiang Tian in fear. "Qingli, didn't you say that you haven't had dinner? Why don't you eat something?" However, Jiang Tian acted as if nothing had happened. He sat down leisurely, picked up a cold dish and a glass of champagne, and started to eat and drink. Han Qingli watched the scene unfold in front of her, and didn't know whether to laugh or cry. This Kong Taichu is so arrogant. He is still so calm after killing the Song family and the Lu family. I guess he is the only one in Wuxia who could do that. Even as she thought about it, the wooden door that led to the backyard was suddenly pushed open. A flurry of footsteps sounded as a group of people surrounded by a beautiful woman walked into the yard. The leader of the group was Song Shuangyan. She was wearing exquisite makeup and looked like an empress. "Ha! He killed them. He has changed." Seeing that it was Jiang Tian, Song Shuangyan was taken aback. She had a complicated look in her eyes. She had never thought that the trash that she had bullied like a grass dog and abandoned like a worn-out shoe would actually swagger into the Song family. And he was still so calm after killing the two heirs of the Song family and the Lu family. He didn't seem nervous at all. Song Shuangyan slowly stopped her footsteps. Her figure stood straight like a lofty snow lotus. She was even more beautiful in the frost, still clear in the snow. She stared at Jiang Tian with her clear eyes and said calmly, I was wondering who it was. I was wondering who it was. So it's Master Jiang from the Medicine King group. Since you are an old friend who came to my birthday party, let's have a drink and eat a piece of cake. Why are you fighting? Did we not treat you well? Give me back the map of the ruins of deity and I won't kill you. Jiang Tian finally looked up slowly. His pupils shrank as he looked at Song Shuangyan. Her calm eyes seemed to be able to see through 10,000 years. They were slightly sharp, but there was no sadness or joy. In his previous life, the woman who had made him look up to her like a country boy seeing a royal princess, and who had brought endless humiliation to the Jiang family, had finally appeared in front of him. But in this lifetime, in Jiang Tian's eyes, she was merely an ant that could be casually crushed, not worth mentioning. You are not here to wash away the humiliation of breaking off the engagement. You know the secret of the ruins of deity? Song Shuangyan was slightly surprised. She looked at Jiang Tian with interest and asked, Who are you? He could kill several gunmen with one hand and Song Poju was a martial arts genius. Did he also become a martial arts master? Was he like what Mr. Sher said? Haha, I feel humiliated because you broke off the engagement. You really think too highly of yourself. Jiang Tian said with a mocking face. Who would want an ugly monster like you? You are the head of the four beauties of Yanjin. You are so much worse than my maids. You are willing to break off the engagement and let me go. I am really grateful to your ancestors. I don't know why I was so blind to agree to the engagement with you. I was young back then, and my taste was really bad. After hearing what he said, the whole place went silent. Countless people stared at Jiang Tian, dumbfounded, as if they had seen a monster. This young master of the Jiang family was crazy. He ignored Lu Lishuan's pressure and killed people with his bare hands. Then he said that Song Shuangyan was ugly. Was he trying to offend the two families? Honey, you are so talented. Only Han Qingli was laughing. She looked at Jiang Tian with her beautiful eyes. She had always been suppressed by Song Shuangyan, but what Jiang Tian said made her very happy. Song Shuangyan's face changed a bit, and then calmed down. Like a queen, she smiled coldly and said, Jiang Tian, you are indeed powerful, but you shouldn't have come here today. You shouldn't have exposed the secret of the map of the ruins of deity. Her eyes were full of murderous intent, and she said with a grin, Do you know that in order to find the secret of the ruins of deity, the Song family spent tens of billions and searched the entire Wuxia? And now, you've delivered yourself to me. In the next moment, she suddenly waved her hand like an empress commanding an army of thousands of men and horses, and said coldly and mercilessly, she said coldly, Uncle Da, break his limbs and force him to tell us where the map of the ruins of deity is. Yes, Miss Song. Zhao Deju's eyes were like lightning as he stared fixedly at Jiang Tian. His arms shook, causing his clothes to explode apart with a few rips, revealing a robust body that seemed to be cast from brass. Numerous muscles coiled together like dragons, and they were filled with terrifying explosive force. It seemed that he took a casual step, but it was as if an ancient god had taken a step. Boom! With a bang, the ground trembled, and the bricks beneath his feet cracked inch by inch. Fragments shot out explosively, and a deep pit was formed. His feet were buried in the ground. Uncle Da, he is Jiang. Yi Haochen, who had just arrived, pointed at Jiang Tian and wanted to say something. But Zhao Deju didn't care about him. Whoosh! Using the counterforce from the ground, Zhao Deju rushed towards Jiang Tian like a bolt of lightning. He left a series of blurry shadows in the air. The sound of air friction was sharp and ear-piercing, just like the sound of a train whistle. Every step he took made the ground tremble and collapse. Pieces of bluestone bricks were trampled by him, and flew toward Jiang Tian like a giant dragon. Boom! His fist smashed out like a furious dragon emerging from the sea. It carried a murderous aura, and it contained a surging and powerful explosive force. It crushed space as it violently smashed towards Jiang Tian's chest. King Kong subduing demon fist, the unique skill of Shaolin. It was fierce and violent, like the angry eyes of a King Kong. It was calm inside and fierce like a bodhisattva. This Zhao Dezhu is too cruel. I want you to leave him alive. I still want the map. Seeing this, Song Shuangyan frowned. She felt that Zhao Dezhu's punch would definitely kill Jiang Tian. She couldn't help but feel a little regretful. Before returning to the secular world, Zhao Dezhu was the head of the 18 arhats of the Shaolin Arhat Hall. He could punch through a steel plate a few centimeters thick. He could crush a small car with one step. With this King Kong exorcism fist, he once defeated one of the 4 spirit generals of the Long Formation, Xian Wu. Get lost. Jiang Tian didn't even look at him. Only when Zhao Dezhu rushed in front of him did he leisurely wave his sleeve. Boom. There was a loud noise. The scene went from extreme stillness to extreme motion. It was motionless like a mountain and moving like a flaming fire. It was as if a level 18 hurricane had suddenly erupted. A surging force swept out violently and wreaked havoc. Before the force hit, the pressure came first. Zhao Dezhu only felt that it was difficult to breathe. He was frightened and anxious. In a hurry, he crossed his arms in front of him. But it was useless. Boom. Zhao Dezhu exploded on the spot, as if a dozen cannonballs had hit his body. Blood, minced meat, broken bones, and pieces of internal organs flew in all directions. Not even a whole body was left. What? Everyone present exclaimed in unison. Zhao Dezhu was extremely domineering. As Lu Lishuan's personal bodyguard, he once defeated one of the 4 spirit generals of the Long Formation, Xian Wu. But at this moment, facing Jiang Tian, he was as weak as an ant. He was shaken into meat paste by Jiang Tian's gentle wave of his sleeve. Who the hell are you? For the first time, fear appeared on Song Shuangyan's pretty face. Her beautiful eyes were wide open as if she had never known Jiang Tian. He is Kang Teichu. At this time, Yi Haochen, who didn't dare to let Jiang Tian see him, was shivering. He shrank in the distance and whispered this sentence. Unfortunately, it was too late. The whole place was dead silent. Many family heads and rich people who followed Song Shuangyan to watch the show instantly turned into clay statues, motionless. Chapter 555. Everyone looked at the young man sitting at the table and munching on a lobster in shock. Some of the more quick-witted ones suddenly had an idea. This person seemed to be a legendary warrior, and he was so powerful that he even dared to kill Lu Lishuan's people. Could it be him? Elder Zhou, who passed through the door, saw this scene. His body suddenly trembled and he was ecstatic. He said, Good, I didn't expect him to really come. Now we are saved. Elder Zhou, who is he? Xiao Hu looked at Jiang Tian from afar. He felt that this person was a little familiar, but he couldn't remember. He can fight against Lu Lishuan, no. He can even trample the Lu and Song families under his feet. Elder Zhou suppressed his laughter, but he said with exultation, He killed 11 gods with one sword on the censer peak. Who do you think he is? Could it be? Xiao Hu's body suddenly trembled as if he had seen a god. His eyes burst with fanaticism. The arbiter, Kang Teichu. You don't deserve to know my name. Jiang Tian looked at Song Shuangyan mockingly and said coldly, Now, do you want to hand over the incomplete map of the ruins of immortality? Jiang Tian, what if I don't hand it over? Song Shuangyan was shocked at first, but then she remembered her monstrous background. She proudly stuck out her chest and looked at Jiang Tian like an empress looking down at an ant. I am the dignified daughter of the Song family, Lu Lishuan's fiancée. In the future, I will control the Lu and Song families, and the entire Wuxia will submit to me. If you dare to touch a finger of mine, I will cut you into pieces and let the Jiang family die without a burial place. These words could be said to be murderous, attacking the weak spot. Jiang Tian was only one person strong. In terms of family background, how could the Jiang family, the king of medicine, be a match for the Lu and Song families, whose power shook Wuxia? They had enormous capital, and their wealth was comparable to that of a country. Their power was monstrous, and many of their disciples were officials of the border. It could be said that he could easily destroy the Jiang family, with just a few tricks. The more Song Shuangyan thought about it, the more confident she felt. She actually approached Jiang Tian, patted Jiang Tian's cheek, and arrogantly said, So what if you are a transcendent master? So what if your Jiang family has tens of billions of assets? Compared to the Song clan and the Lu clan, you're just an ant that can't even withstand a single blow. If you know what's good for you, hand over the incomplete map of the ruins of immortality. Then I won't blame you for offending my banquet, and I'll let you live. Jiang Tian grabbed the snow-white wrist and said indifferently, "Don't worry. From the beginning to the end, you've always had a strong sense of superiority. Are the descendants of the Song family that great?" Pa! Suddenly, Jiang Tian fiercely raised his palm and heavily slapped Song Shuangyan's jade-like sparkling face, sending her flying a few meters away. If I were an ant that couldn't even withstand a single blow, I'd feel really good if I could beat you. There was dead silence. Everyone was aghast. This young Master Jiang actually slapped Song Shuangyan's mouth. This was simply like a fantasy story. Song Shuangyan was sent flying to the ground. Her slender waist was poked by a sharp stone. She couldn't help but scream on the spot. If it wasn't for the fact that she had once cultivated and had a certain level of cultivation, she would have definitely broken her bones and tendons. A bright red handprint appeared on her delicate face. She struggled to her feet and stared at Jiang Tian with resentment in her eyes. You dare to hit me?" she said fiercely. Compared to the pain, the humiliation was even more unbearable. She was one of the 4 beauties of Yanjin. She was the daughter of the Song clan, born with a silver spoon in her mouth. Countless men had loved and respected her since she was a child. She had never been humiliated like this before. She had been slapped in front of everyone. "Congratulations. You even know how to answer first." Jiang Tian waved his hand and Song Shuangyan flew towards him uncontrollably. Jiang Tian grabbed her soft neck and slapped her face again and again. "So what if I hit you? Didn't you slap me in the past? Hit me back if you have the guts. Damn you. You're just a woman. Instead of looking at recipes and making soup, you want to learn the art of war. You're ambitious. You fight for power and profit. You're vicious." This wave of slaps was like a storm. She swayed left and right like a willow tree in the wind. Blood spurted out of her delicate nose. Her tears and snot flowed down together. It washed away her eyeshadow, and even her fake eyelashes flew away. Delightful. 10,000 years. Jiang Tian wanted to slap Song Shuangyan. Now that he did, he felt so good. A gush of pent-up anger that had been suppressed for 10,000 years was completely released. Jiang Tian felt refreshed. His entire body felt comfortable, and every pore on his body opened up. That feeling was like breaking through a shackle that he had been unable to break through for a long time during his cultivation. It was simply awesome. The first daughter of the Song family, and the daughter-in-law of the Lu family. So what? You were still slapped to the ground by me. Slap. Jiang Tian threw her to the ground as if she were a rag. He rubbed his palms in an exaggerated manner, smiled brightly and said, "Yes, but you're a little different. Your skin is especially thick. Other people are the city wall, but you're the corner of the city wall. Doesn't your face hurt?" Song Shuangyan's dirty face was swollen. Her hair was disheveled, and one of her high heels had fallen off. She was like a crazy woman on the street. She was in a mess. She didn't have the elegance and arrogance of the 4 beauties of Yanjing. Beside him, Li Yanmei, Xiaolin, and many other young masters and socialites felt their hearts tremble. They were all dumbfounded and felt as if they were dreaming. Song Shuangyan, the first daughter of the Song family and Lu Lishuan's fiancée. Her status was so noble. She was a supreme beauty with unparalleled power. She was like an empress overlooking Yanjing and intimidating Wuxia. No one could shake her. But now Jiang Tian was grabbing her neck like an eagle grabbing a chick and slapping her face. Moreover, this brat was too cruel. He actually hit a woman without any mercy. Only Han Qingli felt very happy. Song Shuangyan was always arranging flowers and playing the zither. She also boiled snow and made tea. She acted like she was aloof from worldly affairs. In fact, she was ambitious, cunning, ruthless, and ruthless. Although she was called a talented lady, she was actually the #1 witch in Yanjing. A witch only needed to be tortured by evil people. Today, she finally met a tough one. "Jiang Tian, I'm going to cut you into pieces." facing such an arrogant face slapping Jiang Tian. Song Shuangyan was so angry that her lungs were about to explode. She was extremely sullen. This could be said to be the humiliation of her life. It was a humiliation that Jiang Tian couldn't wash away. Whoosh! Song Shuangyan suddenly waved her hand, and the sword in the hand of a delicate maid flew up automatically. She held the sword in her hand and rushed toward Jiang Tian like a flash of cold lightning. Her pair of phoenix eyes were filled with hatred. Using qi to control objects. Looks like you are at the initial transcendent state. Jiang Tian looked at the fingerprints on her face and laughed happily. Grandmaster, a powerful fighter. Are you looking down on me? Can you be a little bit more arrogant and domineering? Then use your face to hit my palm hard. Go to hell. Song Shuangyan showed her murderous intent while she was running. Her sharp sword flashed with cold light and pierced toward Jiang Tian's chest. She stabbed out with her sword, and the sword flashed like a bright star. She could even burst out sword chi and some sword aura. In the martial arts world, she was definitely one of the best among the younger generation. You are indeed a powerful fighter. Every move is fatal. Jiang Tian laughed and flicked his finger. A golden finger aura hit the air. Clang! Song Shuangyan's sword flew out of her hand and broke into countless pieces. Jiang Tian grabbed her wrist and twisted it lightly as if he was breaking a hemp stick. Immediately, the crisp sound of bones breaking could be heard. Ah! Song Shuangyan's clear eyes were wide open and almost popped out. The sharp pain made her raise her swan-like neck and scream toward the sky. Hot tears and cold sweat were running down her face. Pa! Jiang Tian slapped her soft chest and knocked her to the ground. He sneered. Damn girl, you are ruthless. If you don't hand over the remaining pieces of the map, I will strip you naked and throw you on the street. You, looking at Jiang Tian's cold eyes, Song Shuangyan trembled in fear. For the first time, her expression changed from anger to panic. No matter how powerful, ruthless, and resourceful she was just a woman. Some fears were hard to overcome. What the fuck? The Arbiter is so powerful. He even dared to slap the Song family's first daughter. Seeing this scene, Xiaohu's eyes lit up with fanaticism. He finally had a taste of the Arbiter's peerless ferocity. Before this, there was a rumor that the 6 major families wanted to hold the Arbiter ceremony to establish a connection with the Arbiter Kong Teichu. However, Kong Teichu rejected it. In fact, if this ceremony was really held, Kong Teichu would have already taken control of Yanjin. How would Lu Lixuan have a chance? Humph, this is nothing. Yuan Ning sipped her red wine. Her face was full of arrogance as she said. Kong Teichu has already given him face. Back in Japan, he even pinned the president of the Sakura Society, Sasaki Kaisha, to the ground and killed the minister of the Ministry of Defense. He is finally going to unleash his thunderous power. Humph, this time, Lu Lixuan is in danger. Chen Jiafu's eyes also lit up as he stared at the back of that figure. This time, Kong Teichu has completely fallen out with the Song and Lu families. Unless old monster Zhang comes out, no one in Yanjin can stop him. Elder Zhou said decisively, as if he was holding a pearl of wisdom. Only people at his level could understand how terrifying Jiang Tian was. How could a young master like Lu Lixuan, who relied on his family's protection and pulled out a tiger's banner, be compared to such an unrivaled character in East Asia, a peerless powerhouse who had single-handedly suppressed a country and walked out of a mountain of corpses and a sea of blood? The people in the front yard were discussing. Many of them had vaguely guessed Jiang Tian's true identity, but no one would go and tell Lu Lixuan. They wanted to fan the flames and make Lu Lixuan hit a rock with an egg. Why would they tell him? Who dares to kill in the Song family's manner? Could it be an arcanist from abroad? This is an important area in Yanjin. The Song and Lu families are political and business families. Even an arcanist from abroad wouldn't dare to offend them. Who is it? How dare they? When the news spread to the Songtao pavilion, the entire backyard was in an uproar. Even Lu Lixuan couldn't sit still. Lu Liwei, Zhao Dezhu, and Song Poju were killed and his fiancée was slapped. This was an unbearable provocation for Lu Lixuan. He stood up with a gloomy face and said with a murderous look, Good, good, good. I want to see who dares to provoke the Lu family. I will make sure he dies a horrible death. He then rushed out of the door. Chapter 556. The Song family and the Lu family in Yanjin supported them. The leaders of the Yi family and the Feng family in the Yangtze River Delta looked at each other and followed them out. The lord of the Xia family and the others who didn't like Lu Lixuan were also excited and said, "Let's go out and see what kind of person dares to offend Lu Lixuan." For a moment, everyone from the Great Pine Pavilion surrounded Lu Lixuan as he walked out. Every one of them had an extraordinary aura. Half of the top 100 richest people in Wuxia were present, and there was no lack of celebrities and politicians among them. All of them were at the top of the pyramid of wealth and power in Wuxia. It was as if Lu Lixuan had thousands of soldiers and horses behind him. It could be said that he was extremely powerful. When they came to the front yard, Lu Lixuan glanced around and was so angry that his lungs were about to explode. Lu Liwei's death was nothing. He was just a useless junior of the Lu family, but Song Poju was very important. He was the core of his team. Zhao Dezhu had been with him for many years and was a grand master that the Lu family had spent a lot of money to win over. What he couldn't accept was that his fiancée was beaten like a dead dog. It wasn't Song Shuangyan. It was Lu Lixuan's face and the Lu family's face. Hiss. Even Song Shuangyan was beaten. Even the Xia family, Ge family, Long family, and the other family heads, who had stayed out of the matter and watched the tigers fight, felt their eyelids twitch when they saw this scene. They all gasped in unison. Lu Lixuan's face was as dark as water. A murderous intent flashed in his eyes. He suppressed his anger and tried to calm down. "Brother, where did you come from? How dare you beat my fiancé and kill my subordinates and brothers? Who would dare to provoke the Lu family? A master of a hidden sect or a descendant of Yi Zhantian?" Lu Lixuan thought as he stared at Jiang Tian. He used to learn spells from Zhang Qianlei, and also learn martial arts from a famous master. Although his talent was average and his cultivation was not strong, he still had a basic eyesight. He couldn't detect the slightest fluctuation of true qi from Jiang Tian's body. He was just like an ordinary person, which made him even more confused. Jiang Tian from the medicine king Jiang Tian of Jin City. Jiang Tian sipped his champagne and said nonchalantly, "The Jiang family, the king of medicine?" Lu Lixuan was arrogant and had only heard of the medicine king, the Jiang family. He then laughed disdainfully. "Do you know that an ant like you is something that I can crush with a wave of my hand? What sort of enmity do you have with my Lu clan? Are you courting death by running amok here? Your fiancée broke off the engagement with me, but she has yet to return the betrothal gifts. She owes me a piece of the map fragment." Jiang Tian laughed mockingly. "If you're a man, then return it on her behalf. Otherwise, I'll take her away and make her my sword attendant. No, trash like her doesn't have the qualifications to be my sword attendant. I'm afraid she can only be a servant who washes my feet." "Jiang Tian, you are too arrogant," Lu Lixuan said coldly. "Do you know that the Lu clan is the most powerful clan in Wuxia? Even if you know a little about martial arts, even if you are a grandmaster, I can still mobilize the military and the police to kill you. That's right. You don't know what's good for you. How dare you kill someone in the Song family? Call Zhang Long over. Zhang Wanqing of the Jiang family should be in the top 10 on the list of the world's richest people. Let's work together and kill her in minutes. How dare you speak so arrogantly in front of young Master Lu? You are so arrogant." Many family lords and tycoons who didn't know Jiang Tian's background pointed at Jiang Tian and shouted at him. Only Su Tianyan and Yi Haochen looked at Jiang Tian as if they had seen a ghost. Finally, Yi Haochen came to his senses and exclaimed, "Young Master Lu, he is Kong Teichu Jiang." "Jiang. Kong Teichu Jiang." Yi Haochen didn't expect that the whole crowd would turn silent after he said that. It was as if all the noise had been absorbed by an invisible sponge, leaving behind only a still image. Everyone seemed to have been immobilized as they stared at the young man who was drinking wine under the pavilion. They didn't move at all, as if they were clay statues. He really is Kong Teichu." Lu Lixuan looked carefully and finally confirmed it. His expression changed drastically. After Jiang Tian cultivated the gung metal divine body, he had two appearances. One was when he walked in the mortal world, and the other was when he was in battle. A few of his battles were watched by the world, and there were still photos of him. Although Jiang Tian's appearance was that of the mortal world, he still had some similarities with the gung metal divine body. Lu Lixuan could still tell. Then he looked at Song Shuangyan with a somewhat reproachful gaze. His heart skipped a beat. When did she get engaged with Kang Taichu? She even took his betrothal gift and didn't return it. He didn't know that the secret search for the map of the ruins of immortality was the Song family's secret strategy for decades. Song Shuangyan was clever and suspicious by nature. She even hid it from him. Naturally, she didn't tell him about her engagement with Jiang Tian. Adjudicator. Kang Taichu. Song Shuangyan's head buzzed. She looked up in shock and fear at Jiang Tian, as if she was seeing him for the first time. The feeling was as if the ants that he had trampled on all day had expanded by billions of times in an instant, turning into primeval gods that were baring their fangs and brandishing their claws, devouring the sky and the earth, and plucking the stars and the moon. It seems that it's true. What should I do? I'm afraid I have to ask old monster Zhang to come out. Seeing her expression, Lu Lixuan immediately knew that it was true. He couldn't help but be in a dilemma. How could he be a match for Jiang Tian? It was just that when he saw that Jiang Tian was like a wild crane and didn't interfere with the affairs of the secular world, he took advantage of the chaos in Yanjing and established the Wuxia Renaissance Alliance under the protection of his family and Zhang Qianlei's name to fish in troubled waters. If he really encountered Jiang Tian, he immediately became muddle-headed and his brain stopped working. He still hadn't decided whether to evade and quibble, immediately bow his head and admit defeat, or directly turn hostile and fight to the death. Unexpectedly, Yi Haochen said proudly, Kang Taichu, do you think you can be arrogant and overbearing in Wuxia just because you're unrivaled in Singapore? You should know that this is Yanjing, young Master Lu's world, not your small plot of land. If you know what's good for you, kneel and beg young Master Lu for mercy. At his level, he couldn't get more information about Jiang Tian. He didn't know that Jiang Tian had conquered Japan and killed 11 gods in a row to become the arbiter of Wuxia. He thought that Jiang Tian was the same as before, and that he was just doing well in Singapore. Now that Lu Lixuan had arrived, Yi Haochen's courage was boosted and he became arrogant and domineering. Kneel and beg for mercy, my ass. At this moment, Lu Lixuan wanted to slap Yi Haochen away. However, he also knew that he couldn't back down at this time. Otherwise, he would have no prestige to speak of, and the Wuxia Renaissance Alliance would be a bubble in his dream. Therefore, he didn't teach Yi Haochen a lesson. Instead, he cupped his fists and said, Master Kong has arrived. To be honest, my great-grandfather, the Duke Shun, has always praised Master Kong and is very impressed. I will definitely investigate the matter of my fiancé defaulting on the remnant map and give you an explanation. Before he finished speaking, Jiang Tian raised his hand and a ray of light hit the air. Whoosh! The golden light was the size of a radish. It was like an armor-piercing bullet from a Barrett sniper rifle. It was as fast as lightning and exceeded the speed of sound. It drew a golden light and pierced through Yi Haochen's chest. This young master of Zhonghai City had a hole in his chest, and he fell to the ground on his back. He seemed to have never thought that Jiang Tian would kill him in front of Lu Lixuan. He still had an arrogant smile on his face. Kang Taichu. Lu Lixuan was furious. His eyes were burning with anger, as if he wanted to cut Jiang Tian into pieces to vent his anger. If he didn't show up, Jiang Tian would have killed Song Shuangyan, and he would have found some excuse to comfort himself and the others. It's just a misunderstanding. The arbiter doesn't know about my relationship with them. But now, Jiang Tian killed someone in front of him, which meant that he didn't take him seriously. How could he not be angry? Who do you think you are? How dare you talk to me like that? Who does your great ancestor Lu Jinghua think he is? After Jiang Tian raised his hand to kill, his expression was calm and at ease, as if he had just crushed an ant. It did not cause the slightest ripple in his heart. He also ignored Lu Lixuan's anger. Many family lords and tycoons were silent. They lowered their heads and didn't even dare to breathe loudly. They were having a fierce battle in their minds. Lu Lixuan, the top prince of Yanjin, was backed by the Lu family and the Song family. He had a great influence in the mortal world and was extremely powerful. He could order officials around and mobilize thousands of troops at will. He had the power to topple mountains and overturn seas. As for Jiang Taichu, he was the #1 immortal state warrior in China, the leader of the Heavenly Alliance, the imperial preceptor of Singapore, and the Grand Emperor of South Korea. He also controlled the South Korean Tanjuan's faction behind the scenes. He was a peerless expert who had suppressed Lin Zhenyu, Wang Zhongyan, Xiao Bin, and the imperial preceptor. He had even defeated a 28-man army in East Asia, suppressing a country by himself. The clash between the two of them was like Mars crashing into Earth. It would set off monstrous waves and had the power to destroy the world. This was a serious matter, and they didn't dare to express their opinions. Once they expressed their stance, they would offend the other party. It was very likely that they would be crushed into nothingness. Very well. Kang Taichu, you're really arrogant. Lu Lishuan was so angry that his body trembled. His lips trembled and his handsome face turned red. He was born with a golden spoon in his mouth and looked down on Wuxia like a noble. His life had been smooth since he was a child and nobody had ever dared to touch his reverse scale. Any opponent or enemy, as long as they heard the words Crown Prince of the Lu family, would be like a believer seeing a god, panicking and begging for mercy. That day, Jiang Tian killed his subordinate and humiliated his fiancée. In the end, he still killed someone in front of him. He didn't even care about his great ancestor, which was like slapping him in the face. That was a humiliation he couldn't bear. Kang Taichu, you're going to fight the Lu family and the Song family. He shouted furiously. Chapter 557. He was enraged, but he had forgotten. Their subordinates, Li Yanmei, Song Poju and Lu Liwei, were tyrannical in the mortal world and had offended Jiang Tian's family and friends several times. Today, when Jiang Tian came, they also wanted to kill Jiang Tian on the spot. Lu Lishuan suppressed his anger and sternly reprimanded him. I know you are powerful, but don't forget that the Song and Lu families also have immortal state warriors, and the political and business power we control is not something you can imagine. No matter how powerful you are, can you be stronger than the army of Wuxia? No matter how domineering you are, do you dare to resist the power of the mortal world? Song and Lu families? They are just a bunch of dogs and chickens. I can kill them with my sword. Jiang Tian glanced at the people behind him with a cold gaze and said coldly, Today, I just want to take what Song Shuangyan owes me. I don't want to hurt the innocent. Do you want to die? When they came into contact with Jiang Tian's terrifying mental pressure, everyone felt as if they were being stared at by a super great demon god that could devour the heavens and the earth. Waves of cold air rose from the bottom of their hearts, and they were so scared that their legs went soft. Some of the socialites even burst into tears. In order to protect his family, Jiang Tian didn't want to reveal his identity in the mortal world. He only used the name Kang Taichu to dominate the world. They didn't care about the identity of the Medicine King and the Crown Prince of the Jiang family. Even Zhang Wanqing and Jiang Zhixing couldn't make these magnates afraid. But Kang Taichu, who didn't know and who didn't fear him? He was invincible in East Asia and Southeast Asia. He killed 11 immortal generals on the Censor Peak and destroyed the Bai family. That was a ferocious martial arbiter who had absolute power over life and death. He was an arbiter of martial arts who could easily wipe out an entire clan. Jiang Taichu, we've already formed the Wuxia Renaissance Alliance. We'll live and die together, and we're of the same breath and branch. Do you want to be the enemy of so many overlords here? Seeing this, Lu Lishuan was full of arrogance and smiled disdainfully. He looked at Jiang Tian as if he were a fool. Martial artists had a treaty that forbade them from disturbing or trampling on the order of the secular world. Even when the Bai family was still around, they didn't dare to trample on these secular families without restraint. Instead, they roped them in and controlled them in the name of protecting them. No matter how strong Kang Taichu was, he could not break this rule and openly make an enemy of the secular world. Moreover, the Song clan and the Lu clan both had godly state experts behind them. They were on the same level as Jiang Tian. But at this moment, Xia Minghui, the head of the Xia family in Yanjing, was the first to walk up to Jiang Tian. I'm Xia Minghui, the head of the Xia family in Yanjing. Greetings to the adjudicator, Mr. Kong Teichu. I wish Mr. Jiang a long and boundless life, an invincible victory in every battle. In the secular world, the Xia family was ranked second. They had fought several political and business wars with the Liu and Song families, and were like fire and water. But now, the Liu family and the Song family were connected by marriage, and they had gathered many great families to form the Wuxia Revival Alliance. They were already attacking the Xia family from both sides. If the Xia family resisted, they would definitely be torn to pieces by the Liu family and the Song family and die without a burial place. If the Xia family surrendered, they would definitely be in a bad position in the alliance because of the previous conflicts. They might even be slowly eaten away by the Liu family and the Song family. In short, their future was worrying. He had always hoped that Jiang Tian would appear. Seeing that Jiang Tian and Lu Lixuan were at loggerheads, how could he not show his support? Very well. Those who enter my sect are my disciples, and receive my protection. Jiang Tian nodded slightly. Thank you, Master Kong. Xia Minghui was overjoyed and quickly stood behind Jiang Tian. Greetings, Adjudicator Jiang. Xia Lin's beautiful eyes sparkled as she bowed gracefully. She stood side by side with Han Qingli, obediently standing behind Jiang Tian like two beautiful maids. I'm Gu Xuanwang from the Gu family in Yanjing. Greetings, Master Kong. The head of the Gu family also expressed his support. I'm the head of the Long family in Yanjing. Greetings, Master Kong. The head of the Long family also stood out. I'm Zhou Fengnian, the head of the Zhou family. I've admired Master Kong for a long time. Greetings, Master Kong. Old Man Zhou also walked behind Jiang Tian. In less than a minute, the heads of the Liu family and the Song family who were at odds with the Liu family and the Song family all bowed down to Jiang Tian. Damn, how is this possible? Li Yanmei, Xia Lin and the other socialites were shocked as if they had seen a ghost in broad daylight. Any one of these people would be a powerful and influential figure, or a rich and powerful person. But at this moment, they were all worshipping Jiang Tian, even kneeling and kowtowing to him. After that, dozens of nouveau riches like Yuan Ning, Chen Jiafu, and Xiao Hu all chose to stand behind Jiang Tian. In less than 3 minutes, there were only a dozen people standing behind Lu Lixuan. As Lu Lixuan cried out in alarm, Leaf Daodinier, who had been silent all this time, suddenly strode over to Jiang Tian, lifted his robe, and knelt down on the ground. Yi Wudao, a martial arts junior from Jiangxia, greets Grandmaster Jiang Taichu. Old man Yi. What? Lu Lixuan and Song Shuangyan's faces paled as soon as they heard Yi Wudao's words. Everyone behind Yi Wudao knelt down. Kai Zhijing. She was the underground queen of the Yangtze River Delta region. She wore a green cheongsam, and was the disciple of Yi Wudao, the legendary transcendent state expert. Yi Yang'a, the head of the Yi group, the son of Yi Wudao and the 5th richest man in Wuxia. Yi Changsheng, the 4th-generation heir of the Yi family, the most powerful young master in the Yangtze River Delta region, and the future heir of the Yi family. Li Zhihua, the richest man in Zhonghai, the CEO of the Huachuang Group, the 12th richest man in Wuxia, Yi Wudao's disciple. As soon as Yi Wudao showed up, almost all the tycoons in the Yangtze River Delta region, except for Yi Haochen's family, knelt before Jiang Tian. In addition, the Jiang family of the Medicine King originally dominated Su province, suppressing the other families to the point that they couldn't raise their heads. It was equivalent to the entire Yangtze River Delta region, submitting to Jiang Tian. He has captured all the overlords in the world. He is so powerful that he can overlook Wuxia. He is not the arbiter. What is the arbiter? There were even some martial artists present who thought about a deeper level, and sighed one after another. Hua Qingtian of the Central Plains, Zhao Yuankuan of the Gan Province, Wei Feilong of the Beha Province, Wu Yingxiong of the Southwest Province and many other grandmasters were members of the Heavenly Alliance. Yi Wudao of the Jiangxia Province had submitted to the Heavenly Alliance, which meant that the Heavenly Alliance had recruited all the local grandmasters. Besides, the 6 major martial arts families of Yanjin had also submitted to the Heavenly Alliance. This meant that other than the Hidden World sects, all the martial arts experts in Wuxia had submitted to Jiang Tian. This was the power of the arbiter. At this moment, Even Su Tianyan was unable to withstand the immense pressure. He scrambled over to Jiang Tian and wailed, "Brother Jiang Tian, Master Kong, please forgive me for being foolish. I am willing to give up the darkness and join the light. I was bewitched by Lu Lishuan. When you and your son offended me in Jinlin City, I didn't ask Qin Zhong to kill you. I only asked you to get out of Wuxia. Now that you've returned to Wuxia, you've distorted the truth, confused people's hearts, and repeatedly provoked me. Do you think my words are nonsense?" Jiang Tian said coldly as a murderous glint flashed in his eyes. "Arbiter Jiang, I was wrong. I won't do it again." Su Tianyan, the richest man in Wuxia, was so scared that he peed his pants and kowtowed. "It's too late. Go to hell." Jiang Tian slapped Su Tianyan into a pulp and embedded him in the ground. Hiss. The richest man in Wuxia was killed just like that. The tragic scene shocked many of the socialites and young masters, causing them to suck in a breath of cold air. "That's so scary." Li Yanmei was especially shocked. She lost control of her bladder again and splashed on the ground. However, Jiang Tian still gave Leaf Daodinier some respect. He slowly rose to his feet, raised his hands and said with a faint smile, "Grandmaster Yi, I've long heard of your great name. Now that I have met you, you are extraordinary. I dare not call myself a master in front of Master Kong." Yi Wudao said politely. "Yi Wudao, how could you not abide by the covenant?" Lu Lishuan asked in shock and anger. "Do you think you can call me by my name?" Yi Wudao's slightly widened eyes were full of anger. He turned his head and scolded. "My covenant with you is that if Master Kong doesn't come out, I will lend you a hand to protect the secular world and revive the economy of Wuxia. But since Grandmaster Jiang is willing to lead a group of heroes to protect the secular world of Wuxia, when is it up to a little brat like you to make decisions? Have you killed Wang Chongyan of the Blue Cloth Society and protected Wuxia? Have you destroyed the Cherry Blossom Society and raised the prestige of our country? Have you revived the prestige of the War Dragon and served the country?" With each question, he took a step forward. After a few words, he was already in the middle of the field, facing Lu Lishuan. "Relying only on the protection of your ancestors and pulling on the tiger's skin, you're trying in vain to claim that you're alone and compete with Grandmaster Jiang. What ability do you have? You're simply daydreaming, wishful thinking." These words made Lu Lishuan's face turn purple and red, as if blood was about to drip out. He was so angry that his body trembled. He gritted his teeth and shouted, very well, very well. I will remember your disrespect and shameless betrayal today. The masters behind the Lu family and the Song family will come out and suppress you." Yi Wudao laughed and said, "Master Kong once killed 11 immortal state warriors on the incense stove peak. How many immortal state warriors do you have in the Song family and the Lu family? Do you think Master Kong can kill you?" Although Leaf Daodinier's words were harsh, they were actually meant to protect Lu Lishuan. He wanted Lu Lishuan to understand the gap between them and retreat. It also lowered his status and made it seem like he wasn't worth Jiang Tian's attention. "Song Shuangyan, you have seen it for yourself. The Song family and the Lu family don't have the power to compete with me. However, I won't bully you." Jiang Tian ignored Lu Lishuan and looked at Song Shuangyan. "You have bullied me, humiliated me, lied to me and slandered me many times. However, I, Kong Teichu, am not a narrow-minded person. If you hand over the incomplete map, I will let bygones be bygones and let you go. If you don't repent, I will kill your husband first and turn you into a widow. Then I will destroy the Song family." Everyone went deathly silent. Even Leaf Daodinier's face fell, and he opened his mouth to speak, but then hesitated. After all, Lu Lishuan represented the peak of power in Wuxia. If Jiang Tian killed him, it would be tantamount to ignoring the order of the world, and it would cause a huge uproar. However, in Jiang Tian's eyes, there was no difference between the world and the martial arts. There was only one principle: those who offend him must be killed. Chapter 558. When he was in the outer space, he had killed countless royal families and empires that tried to provoke him. Besides, how could Lu Lishuan represent Huaxia's secular rights? Jiang, do you dare to touch me? Song Shuangyan was shocked and angry at the same time. She shouted while dancing. Fine, if you don't repent, then I'll grant you your wish. Jiang Tian's eyes flashed with murderous intent. Song Shuangyan, why did you give him back the map? Do you want to kill me? Seeing Jiang Tian reveal his intention, Lu Lixuan, who knew he was no match for him, was scared out of his wits. Cold sweat dripped down his face. He rolled his eyes and suddenly his attitude took a 180-degree turn. His technique was only at the initial stage of ethereal enlightenment, and his martial arts were only at the peak of internal strength. He was no match for Jiang Tian. You can't give it back. This map is related to the secret of immortality. He won't dare to kill us. Song Shuangyan's eyes were filled with tears as she screamed crazily. Song family exhausted all of their resources and sacrificed dozens of family members to find this map. With it, we can even make the hidden sects submit to us. Don't be afraid, my grandfather will be here soon. Master Kong, Lixuan has already understood and expressed his stance. Can you give the old man some face and spare Lu Lixuan's life? Yi Wudao bowed deeply. Lu Lixuan, you are a smart person. I won't kill you. Jiang Tian smiled coldly. Song Shuangyan, if you continue to be so stubborn, I will break off our relationship and cancel the engagement. As if encouraged by Jiang Tian, Lu Lixuan stood beside Jiang Tian, pointed at Song Shuangyan and shouted angrily. Not only that, my Lu family will also support the adjudicator Master Kong to defeat your Song family. Lu Lixuan, how can you do this? Song Shuangyan's eyes were lifeless and filled with despair. At this moment, she felt as if she had been betrayed and abandoned by the entire world. She was left alone to deal with a terrifying existence like Jiang Tian. Song Shuangyan, you can't even keep your life, yet you still want to become an immortal. You're not as tactful as your fiancé. Jiang Tian stood up and made a grabbing motion with his right hand. A surge of attractive force enveloped Song Shuangyan. Right now, Lu Lixuan's eyes suddenly turned gloomy and murderous. A black stone the size of a pigeon's egg appeared in his right palm. He made a hand seal with his left hand, and the ink-black stone suddenly shot out tens of thousands of lightning bolts, like silver snakes, towards Jiang Tian to envelop him. At this moment, the two of them were very close to each other, and the lightning was moving at extreme speed. In an instant, the lightning struck Jiang Tian's body. Haha, this is the lightning palm refined by the lightning master Zhang Qianlei. It has a temperature of 10,000 degrees, and can destroy everything. Even a deity realm expert can be destroyed in body and soul. Kong Teichu, oh Kong Teichu, you've lost in the end. Looking at Jiang Tian's suddenly stiffened body, Lu Lixuan couldn't help but laugh out loud complacently. The Heavenly Master sect of Longhu Mountain was known for the most dangerous and powerful lightning arts in the world. Zhang Qianlei was the last sect master of the Heavenly Master sect, and the last Heavenly Master of the Republic of China. A perfected cultivator with a Tao body. He had learned the secret art of thunder, and combined it with the 9 palace flying stars, the green sack thunder scripture, and the 8 trigrams of yin and yang to summon the divine thunder of the 9 heavens with a dharma seal. Finally, he condensed it in the thunder ink stone. Once activated, it could shoot out the divine thunder of the 9 heavens, like an electromagnetic gun with astonishing destructive power, far surpassing ordinary lightning. Lu Lixuan was born in the mortal world, so his talent in martial arts and dharma spells was average and his willpower was poor. Most of his time was spent on worldly power and wealth. However, his family background was powerful, and he had countless heavenly treasures and dharma artifacts. He had destroyed hundreds of lightning palms, but he finally mastered the art of activating dharma artifacts. Once the lightning palm was launched, it was comparable to Zhang Qianlei's divine thunder. Lu Lixuan was confident that he could at least severely injure Jiang Tian and weaken his power, if not kill him immediately. Who would have thought that he had truly underestimated Jiang Tian's ability too much? Jiang Tian's body froze for a moment before he shuddered. He turned to look at Lu Lixuan with a smile and said, "That's right. Young Master Lu, why are you flirting with me? It actually makes my heart beat faster." What the hell is that? Lu Lixuan was dumbfounded as he looked at the dazzling ball of lightning in Jiang Tian's right hand. He was scared out of his wits and stumbled backward. You're not even afraid of the divine thunder of the 9 heavens. Are you a god? Could it be that you're gay? Sorry, I'm a straight man. I can't accept your flirting. Jiang Tian continued his confusing speech. He raised his right hand and pressed the ball of lightning into Lu Lishuan's head. Boom. In an instant, Lu Lishuan's skull became transparent. The brain wrinkles, nerves, and blood vessels inside were clearly visible. In the next moment, his head, along with most of his body, suddenly exploded in the dazzling electric light that was flashing and running around. Blurg. Seeing the brains and body parts all over the ground, smelling the pungent smell of blood and burnt flesh, many of the rich people present started to vomit crazily. They were almost vomiting their bile. Only 2 legs left. He died without a whole body. This is too scary. On the other hand, Li Yanmei and the other young ladies were so scared that they were trembling in fear. They were all flowers in a greenhouse. Even if they fought for power, killed and robbed, they would use others' hands. They had never seen such a bloody and tragic scene. They were so frightened by this horrible scene that their legs turned to jelly. They looked at Jiang Tian as if they had seen a demon. This is the thunder palm made by Zhang Qianlei. It contains the heavenly thunder of the 9th heaven. It is far more powerful than the ordinary thunder talisman, but Master Kong can control it? Mr. Shi and the other martial arts overlords were stunned. They looked at Jiang Tian in awe as if they had seen a god. Lu Lishuan, Master Kong wanted to let you go, but you sneakily attacked him. You are too smart for your own good. Yi Wudao shook his head and sighed. There was a hint of worry in his eyes. He knew that the Song family and the Lu family, as well as Zhang Qianlei and the other overlords behind them, would not rest until Jiang Tian was dead. Kong Teichu, how dare you kill my great-grandson? A weak and hoarse voice sounded, but it was full of anger and murderous intent. An old man wearing an old military coat with medals on his chest walked in from the gate, surrounded by a group of middle-aged men with extraordinary bearing. He slammed the red cane in his hand on the ground. His slightly widened eyes were full of anger and murderous intent. It was Lu Xinghua, the great ancestor of the Lu family. He was one of the few remaining founding fathers of China. Behind him were the leaders and elites of the Lu family and the Song family. Even the family lord of the Song family, Song Beishan, was there. He wants to kill me. Why can't I kill him? Jiang Tian raised his hand and grabbed in the air. Song Shuangyan, who was a dozen meters away, fell into his hand uncontrollably. His one hand directly grabbed Song Shuangyan's snow-white slender neck, directly choking this Song family's daughter, who overlooked Yanjing into the air. Even though Jiang Tian was only 1.75 meters tall and Song Shuangyan, who was wearing high heels, was about the same height as him. But at this moment, Song Shuangyan in his hands was like a weak little chick in the claws of an eagle. Kong Teichu, put her down. Kong Teichu, how dare you? What do you want to do? Song Beishan and the others were furious and shouted. Song Beishan, the Song family owes me. You must pay me back. Otherwise, I will kill your whole family. Jiang Tian said coldly. After he finished speaking, he didn't care about the chaotic and furious crowd. Carrying Song Shuangyan, he stepped on his flying sword and turned into a stream of light, disappearing before everyone's eyes. No one could stop him, and no one dared to stop him. He single-handedly killed powerful people and nobles with a snap of his fingers. He blasted the crown prince of Yanjing, Lu Lishuan, and kidnapped Song Shuangyan. Jiang Tian used his invincible attitude to tell the nobles of Yanjing what the true power of a martial arts adjudicator was. Song Shuangyan didn't listen to me. She finally got herself killed. Mr. Shi stood aside and watched for a long time. He looked up at the sky and sighed helplessly. Lu Lishuan was killed and Song Shuangyan was kidnapped. This news was like a heavy bomb that spread throughout the upper-class society of Yanjing. Who was Lu Lishuan? He was the eldest son of the 4th generation of the top political and business family in Wuxia. He was specially trained since birth and was the future leader of the Lu family. He was like a prince of the ancient times. Moreover, after the marriage with Song Shuangyan, he had the support of the 3rd most powerful political and business family in Wuxia, the Song family. It could be said that he dominated Yanjing and suppressed Wuxia. But he was killed. Who could be so arrogant and unscrupulous? After hearing this news, many people were stupefied. They couldn't believe it, as if they had seen a ghost in broad daylight. How is it possible? Who did it? Lu Lixuan, he is my idol. In the Fragrant Hills Villa, a punk girl exclaimed in the living room of Pan Jiejun's house. I heard that it was the nephew of Zhang Zhonghua who broke my legs. Pan Jiejun held a cup of hot water and said with a trembling voice, I heard that Song Shuangyan had a marriage agreement with him before. Song Shuangyan broke off the engagement and didn't return the betrothal gift. Then a conflict broke out. That arrogant guy? Wang Xinju, who looked elegant, smiled in disdain and said, he will die miserably after offending the Lu family. How much military force can the Lu family mobilize? I'm afraid he will be crushed in minutes. I'm afraid he is already dead. Great Pan Jiejun. The Lu family will avenge you without your old man doing anything. The punk girl snorted and said with resentment. There were conflicts between the political and business families in Yanjing, but there were unspoken rules and bottom lines. They had never killed or kidnapped people so easily. It could be said that Jiang Tian broke the unspoken rules and bottom lines. How could the Lu family tolerate him? Chapter 559. Keep it down, you two. Pan Jiejun said with fear written all over his face. I heard that the man is not an ordinary man. Even my father and the new head of the Fu family, Fu Jioga, were intimidated by him. What? Isn't he the young master of the Medicine King group? Why would your father be afraid of him? Wang Xinju's eyes widened in disbelief. He has another identity. I think he is called the martial arts adjudicator, Kong Teichu. Pan Jiejun's face turned pale. Martial arts adjudicator? What is that? Many of the young masters and socialites present looked at each other with puzzled faces. The major families who received the news had different reactions, but they were all shocked and paid close attention to the matter. The adjudicator is indeed the adjudicator. He is so domineering. Chen Zifen's face was full of admiration. Then he sneered and said, what bullshit is Lu Lixuan? Isn't he just a little secular power? He actually went to create some nuisance called the Revival Alliance, vainly attempting to challenge Grandmaster Jiang. He is really courting death. Sai Zifen, you are too naive. Qin Zhong said with a serious face. For decades after the founding of the country, the martial arts families can bully the common people because of the martial arts convention. But even the Bai family doesn't dare to do anything to the top political and business families like the Lu and Song families. Next to him, Lin Fengmian said, that's right. The martial arts families have joined forces with many political and business forces in the name of protecting the secular families. But we don't dare to kill them. Uncle Qin, I know. I think these political and business families are too spoiled. They think we don't dare to do anything to them. Chen Zifen's face was full of arrogance as he snorted. If we were as strong as Grandmaster Jiang, would Lu Lixuan dare to stop you when you robbed Su Tianyin of his wealth? He would be scared to death. We have martial arts, but they have secular power. If we really fall out with them, we may not be able to take advantage of them. Qin Zhong said helplessly. Just like when Yi Tianren represented the military in Wuxia and defeated the Hong sect, the Green Gang, the Second Floor, the Blue Man Society, and the 9 Stories Tower, just like when Yi Zhantian launched Operation Drawing Sword in the 1990s. After all, we are an established force and are not favored by the government. We will be suppressed. Chen Zifen said nonchalantly, but Yi Zhantian and Master Kong are pretty close now. What if the Lu family wants to mobilize the military and police forces? I'm afraid even Chao Shixiang won't be able to stop them. Qin Zhong narrowed his eyes and sighed. Hearing this, everyone's expression changed drastically. Oh my God! What should we do? The Lu family is the #1 political and business family, so they definitely have the ability to do so. Fatty Fu was so scared that the fat on his body trembled, and his forehead was covered in sweat. In my opinion, there's no need to worry for now. Qin Zongheng pondered for a moment, and then said in a deep voice, I've carefully investigated the situation that day, and I didn't miss any details. Master Kong tried peaceful means before resorting to force. From the beginning to the end, he was on the defensive. It wouldn't be an exaggeration to say that he was retaliating in self-defense. Chen Zifan was overjoyed. He slapped his thigh and said, "Zongheng, you are right this time. A martial artist has to abide by the rules of martial arts. They are not allowed to harm ordinary people, but that doesn't mean that they can't fight back in the face of death." The Han family. Han Batian was shocked after receiving Han Qingli's detailed report. He was speechless for a long time. After a long time, he finally said in a deep voice, "This is the power of an arbiter. But the Song family and the Lu family are not to be trifled with either. I'm afraid this time, they will fight Kong Teichu to the bitter end." The Zhang family. Zhang Jinghua was also in a dilemma as he was making a difficult decision. His fierce maneuver had finally allowed the Zhang family to ride on Jiang Tian's coattails. But now Jiang Tian and the Lu family and the Song family were like fire and water. If things went wrong, the Song family and the Lu family would be implicated. This Jiang Tian is too reckless. Even if he is an arbiter, the Lu family and the Song family are giants. It's not good to offend them. Zhang Zhonggua shook his head helplessly. "Father, a gentleman does not stand under a collapsing wall. Should we sever our relationship with Jiang Tian? I have already received a call from the Song family and the Lu family. If we don't give them an explanation, the Zhang family and the Jiang family will be wiped out." "Yeah." Old lady Su Shulan sighed. Although Jiang Tian is very capable, he might not be too unscrupulous in his actions and disregard the consequences. Besides, even if fourth brother is the head of the family now, will Jiang Tian really help the Zhang family? Zhang Danfeng's face was clouded with uncertainty, but he didn't say anything. This kind of confrontation was beyond his knowledge. He couldn't make up his mind. "No." Zhang Jinghua pondered for a long time and finally shook his head. "We have already lost Jiang Tian once. We can't lose him again. The Zhang family must support Jiang Tian at all costs." "But father, this is very risky." Zhang Zhonggua was reluctant. "Fortune comes from danger." Zhang Jinghua straightened his body, like an unsheathed sword, revealing his sharpness. "Have you forgotten that we were encroached upon by the Han family? Have you forgotten the fear of being dominated by the top families? The Zhang family can no longer shrink back." At this time in the Lu family mansion, Lu Lishuan's portrait was hung high, wreaths and elegiac couplets were unbroken, and mournful music shook the heavens. In the meeting hall, the atmosphere was oppressive and dull. The high-level members of the Song and Lu families were gathered to discuss this matter. "This is openly provoking the Lu family, provoking the authority of the old master. It must be suppressed by force. Send out all the masters and experts. I will tear this Jiang Tian into pieces." The head of the Lu family, Lu Lishuan's grandfather, Lu Qiji, slammed the table and roared. The other high-level members were also filled with righteous indignation. There were also hot-tempered juniors of the Lu family, who claimed that they would kill their way to Fragrant Hill and take Jiang Tian's life. "Brother Qiji, but that person is the adjudicator Kong Teichu. What's more, my granddaughter is still in his hands. We have to hold back." Song Beishan shook his head bitterly. "Does Kong Teichu have no respect for the law? He is openly tearing up the convention of martial arts and seriously disrupting the order of the world. Even if we report this to the central government, we can't tolerate him." The head of the Lu family consortium, Lu Lishuan's father Lu Jinlin, gritted his teeth and roared. "Let the central government send out the military and police to suppress him? But this person had once defeated 28 mixed army and air brigades in East Asia, and the central government wants stability to suppress everything. I'm afraid they won't be willing to start a war," someone said in a low voice. Everyone fell into a dead silence when they heard this. Everyone fell into a hopeless silence. These words were not false. Jiang Tian had once dominated Singapore and East Asia. At that time, Singapore had sent out the police, while East Asia had sent out the self-defense forces. No matter which time it was, the battle was always earth-shattering and caused a huge commotion. Whether Wuxia's military was willing to send out was a problem, and even if they did, they may not be able to kill him. Kong Teichu is indeed very powerful, but this is Yanjing. He can't be presumptuous. At this time, a hoarse and old voice sounded. The great ancestor of the Lu family, Lu Zhenghua, came out leaning on a crutch. Li Xuan is the eldest son of the fourth generation of the Lu family. Our Lu family will not be bullied. We can't let this go. Father, what do you mean? Lu Qiji asked with a frown. All the people present were visibly moved. Third brother, contact Yi Zhantian and Chao Shixiang. Tell them I want to invite them to tea. Lu Jingguo said in a hoarse voice. Yes. Father. The third brother of the second generation of the Lu family, the military giant Lu Hongbing, suddenly stood up. Fourth brother, contact the chief of staff. I want the Red Wall internal guards to enter the Lu family and protect them. Yes, father. The fourth brother Lu Zhanshan bowed. Fifth brother, give me an invitation. I want to go to the Red Wall courtyard to see the chief. Yes, father. Lu Jingguo was once in a trance. After experiencing the tempering of war, he had become a founding leader. Like an old lion and sick tiger, the older he became stronger, towering like a mountain. He possessed a firm, courageous and iron-blooded aura, which was not comparable to Zhang Jinghua, Han Batian and the other younger generation figures. Lu Jingguo issued one order after another, like an old general strategizing in a tent. After more than a dozen orders were passed down, the whole Lu family suddenly boiled with excitement. The Lu family had been in Wuxia for nearly a century, and had extensive relationships and connections. Even the two chiefs had been Lu Jingguo's secretaries and subordinates. The power they possessed was far from what Han Batian and Zhang Jinghua could compare with. This kind of political family, the power that they could mobilize, could no longer be measured by money. Lu Jingguo was the only remaining founding leader of Wuxia. As long as this old man was alive, the Lu family would not fall. Finally, he turned to the patriarch of the Song family, Song Beishan, and said in a low voice, Beishan, pass on a message for me. Tonight I'm going to Yan Mountain to pay a visit to Master Zhang Qianlei. Uncle Lu, what do you mean? Song Beishan was taken aback and his eyes widened in shock. I was the one who saved the heavenly master sect of Dragon Tiger Mountain, when the four olds were destroyed. Now, it's time for him to return the favor. Lu Jingguo said in a low voice. I once saw him fight to a draw with Bai Tianlei and his wife. He could control thunder, and kill a half-step immortal state warrior. He has been in seclusion for so many years, he should be stronger than before. Yes. Song Beishan hesitated a bit and nodded. He contacted Chao Shixiang, the longtime leader Yi Zhantian, and the Red Wall inner guards, as well as the central government to exert political pressure. In the end, he even invited perfected Cultivator Dao Ti, the best thunder art in the world. Once Lu Jingguo made his move, it was as if a thunderbolt had struck. These might not be enough to kill Jiang Tian, but they could at least intimidate Jiang Tian. After all, no matter how powerful a cultivator was, he was still a human. He had a partner, a lover, and a family. He couldn't do whatever he wanted. Otherwise, he would have crossed the line and been killed. This was also the reason why these martial arts families would only gather their forces in the name of protecting the secular families, but they would never provoke these top wealthy families. The power that these political and business families could mobilize was not to be underestimated. Even a martial arts tycoon like the Bai family would be wary of them. Alas, I wonder if Zhang Qianlei is a match for Kong Teichu. Song Beishan sighed helplessly. Many people had this question in their minds. In the battle between Zhang Qianlei and Kong Teichu, who was more powerful, Dharma spells or martial arts? Chapter 560. At this time, Jiang Tian had returned to Yuhua Villa with Song Shuangyan. After leaving her in the yard, Jiang Tian sat cross-legged and meditated, letting Song Shuangyan walk around. Song Shuangyan's arm was broken. Although it was set, it was still painful. Her clothes were thin, and she was shivering from the cold. But her eyes were full of hatred, and she said coldly, Kong Teichu, you killed Lu Lixuan and kidnapped me. You are so unscrupulous. Aren't you afraid of the revenge of the Lu and Song families? Haha, revenge. Jiang Tian said disdainfully. Do you think you are opponents? A group of ants from the secular world. I can crush them with a raise of my hand. Song Shuangyan was slightly trembling. She waved her hands and shouted, Jiang Tian, you're too arrogant. You think we're a brute like you. Using our fists to barge around? We are a political and business family. We can mobilize armed forces. You are actually provoking the confrontation between the martial arts world and the secular world. It will also make the secular world afraid of you and hate you. No one wants to live in the shadow of being killed at any time. Indeed, martial artists can't invade the secular world, but I have the right to defend myself. When I killed Lu Liwei, Song Poju, Yi Haochen, and others, you all had gunmen pointing at me. The government will not stand on your side. Jiang Tian said with a mocking smile. You are very smart, but the arrogance of power blinded your eyes, making you ignore a lot of facts and make wrong judgments. Maybe in your life, it is normal to shoot and kill people, and others have no right to fight back. It is natural to be killed by you. Hearing this, Song Shuangyan's heart thumped. Her face was as pale as paper, and her slightly opened eyes were full of monstrous anger. Jiang Tian, you did it on purpose. You deliberately provoked them and made them shoot, didn't you? You are so vicious, you are a devil. Jiang Tian was too lazy to pay attention to her. He just sat there and meditated, like an old monk. Song Shuangyan anxiously paced back and forth. She suddenly turned her head and glared at Jiang Tian. She hatefully said, Jiang Tian, why did you kidnap me? Give me back the map of the ruins of immortality. Jiang Tian said coldly. What if the Song family doesn't return it? Song Shuangyan said, panting with rage. I have 10,000 ways to exterminate your Song family, and the authorities can't find any evidence. Jiang Tian laughed. Hearing this, Song Shuangyan felt a chill all over her body. She had served Zhang Qianlei for many years and knew that Jiang Tian definitely had this kind of ability. Not only did Jiang Tian not allow Song Shuangyan to move freely, he even let Song Shuangyan contact the Lu family and the Song family. And Song Shuangyan was also able to obtain information. Just as Jiang Tian had predicted, the Song family's many countermeasures were useless. The next day, on New Year's Eve, Special Envoy Shen came to visit Lu Jingua. However, he brought bad news. The chief was visiting the poor, and had no time to meet Lu Jingua. Lu Jingua complained about Jiang Tian's atrocities. However, Special Envoy Shen was already prepared. He said that Kong Teichu was only defending himself, and did not indiscriminately kill the innocent. He asked for Elder Lu's condolences and not to cause any more disputes. As for the request for the Red Wall internal guards to stay in the Lu family, it was left unsettled. Chao Shixiang expressed to Lu Hongbing that he hoped that the Lu family would consider the big picture, and not use public resources for personal gain. As for Yi Zhantian, he said that he was cultivating in seclusion, and did not pay any attention to the visitors from the Lu family and the Song family. As for the Zhang family, Zhang Zhonghua ordered the city bureau to investigate. However, the conclusion was the same. Jiang Tian was defending himself, and the case was dismissed on the same day. However, he also transferred a few policemen to Yuhua Villa to ask Jiang Tian to return Song Shuangyan. He did a pretty good job of saving face. This spring festival was especially cold for Song Shuangyan. Their attitude is clear. The government's attitude is clear. After hearing the news, Chen Zifen laughed arrogantly. What bullshit is this Lu family? They still have to kneel when they meet a martial arts elite. Grandmaster Zhang's ferocity overflowed the heavens, crushing everything in his path. I like it. No, it's not like that. Qin Zongheng sighed with admiration. This just so happens to prove that while Grandmaster Zhang's actions seem unbridled and invincible, he actually plans before acting. He's meticulous and orderly, and he's watertight. No one can find a single flaw in his actions. That's right. Master Kong is not the kind of person who would kill the innocent. The Song family and the Lu family are digging their own graves. They deserve it. All the family heads nodded in agreement. Chen Zifen said gloomily, You guys are such a wet blanket. I like Master Kong to be simple and violent. He will kill whoever he doesn't like. The Lu family and the Song family and Jiang Tian's counterattack lasted for 5 days. In the end, a letter of challenge was sent to the Yuhua Villa. Heavy snow fell from the sky. Ice and snow covered the sky. White fog shrouded the Yuhua Villa, making it look like a jade palace in the immortal world. Jiang Tian and Jiang Wan were having a snowball fight and setting off firecrackers in the snow. Humph. Be proud of yourself. Zhang Tianshi is going to strike soon. I don't believe you can beat him. Inside the pavilion, Song Shuangyan, who looked much more haggard, paced back and forth anxiously. She looked at them with resentment. Just a small economic dispute, and the elites of the criminal police unit are guarding them. In the distance, under the eaves, a rough man in a leather jacket frowned. He was holding a stainless steel wine flask and sipping hard liquor. And the orders from above are too strange. They don't let us catch them. They just let us watch them? A small economic dispute? Old Huang, who do you think the woman under the pavilion is? Beside him, a young man with sharp eyes and a buzz cut sneered coldly. His name was Han Haoren. When he was only 30 years old, he was already the captain of the Yanjing Criminal Police Unit. He had cracked many major cases and won many awards. The most famous case was the arrest of the drug lord Kun Sa. Legend had it that he went into the tiger's den alone with a gun and killed a dozen drug dealers with guns. He then stepped on Kun Sa and reported it to the head of the department. She looks pretty, but her eyes are a bit fierce. She owes money and doesn't pay it back. What's so great about her? Who is she? Next to him, the rough policeman Old Huang took a sip of wine and said disdainfully, "Deadbeat. Song Beishan's granddaughter, Song Lingshuang, one of the four beauties of Yanjin." Han Haoren rolled his eyes. Song Beishan's granddaughter? Old Huang thought of the man in a Chinese tunic suit who always appeared 5 minutes before the news broadcast when he was young. He suddenly felt frightened. This man kidnapped her. Damn, he is even more fierce than Zhang Ziqiang, who kidnapped Superman Li's son. Is Zhang Ziqiang comparable to him? Han Haoren recalled what Zhang Zhonghua had told him before he carried out the mission, and his heart skipped a beat. Just then, footsteps sounded at the door. A group of people walked in. Zhang Zhonghua walked at the front and said, "Comrades, you have worked hard. Remove the cordon first. These leaders want to see Mr. Jiang." Damn, who are these big shots? Old Huang turned his head and looked. He immediately stuffed the wine bottle into his pocket and threw away the cigarette. He stared at the few people in shock. Naturally, he recognized Zhang Zhonghua. There was also a Taoist priest who looked like an immortal and had an extraordinary bearing. There was also a middle-aged man in a Chinese tunic suit. He seemed to have seen him on TV before. He seemed to be an important person beside the head of the department. There was also a stern-looking old man in a Chinese tunic suit. He was Song Beishan, who had not shown up for a long time. The most eye-catching one was an old man who looked like a sick tiger. Although he was old, he was domineering. He exuded the unique aura of a soldier. Looking at his position and order, his status was even higher than Zhang Zhonghua and Song Beishan. Han Haoren quickly went forward and ordered the police to remove the cordon. He made a gesture of invitation and sat down again under the roof. Who lives here? Could it be some crown prince? These visitors were too powerful. The more Old Huang thought about it, the more shocked he was. It was reasonable for him to ask such a question. The Shuangqing Villa and Yuhua Villa were originally where the leaders lived. That Mr. Jiang should also be some top crown prince. Maybe. Han Haoren saw that the few people had already walked in front of Jiang Tian and were staring at him. "Grandpa, Elder Lu, you are here." Song Shuangyan stood up weakly and greeted them. These few days could be said to be the most miserable days of her life. She suffered both psychological and physical torture. At this time, she was still wearing the Chong Sam, white gloves, and high heels from the birthday party, but her body was dirty. Her hair was messy and greasy, and the bruises on her face had not subsided. She looked like a beggar on the street. "Mr. Jiang, Elder Song and Elder Lu are here to visit you." Special Envoy Shen stepped forward quickly and said with a smile. Jiang Tian threw the snowball in his hand at Jiang Weiner and dodged 2 snowballs thrown by Jiang Weiner. He raised his hand to beg for mercy and admitted defeat. After coaxing the angry Jiang Weiner, he walked over lazily. Taking a cup of hot tea from Huang Linger, Jiang Tian took a sip and said with a smile, "Special Envoy Shen is here." Seeing that Jiang Tian was arrogant and didn't even look at him, Song Beishan's emotions surged. He sighed and said with mixed feelings, "Master Kong, the Lu family was blind. They didn't see that you were such an unpredictable and domineering peerless hero. Today Jiang Tian's power and temperament shocked him, and he couldn't believe it. If not for the fact that Jiang Tian had killed Song Poju, he even felt that Jiang Tian was very amazing. One person suppressed a country, the 6 major martial arts families of Yanjin surrendered, and all the martial arts grand masters in the world worshipped him. Such a person couldn't be described as amazing. He was even more powerful than Yi Tianren when he was young. Even if Song Beishan was one of the most powerful giants in Wuxia, he still felt a great pressure when facing Jiang Tian. If the Xia family and Han family of Yanjin were here, they would gloat and laugh. Back then, Jiang Tian had almost become Song Beishan's grandson-in-law. However, the Song family had eyes but failed to see. They had forcibly turned a son-in-law into a life-and-death enemy. It was impossible for Song Beishan not to have any regrets. It's not too late to regret. Hand over the incomplete map. Although we can't be friends, at least we won't be enemies. Jiang Tian smiled calmly and said. Chapter 561. I'm afraid the old man has no other choice. Song Beishan let out a wry smile and felt sorry for the old man. Everything was useless. Now that things had come to this point, there was no possibility of turning back. The Song family would never give up on the map of the ruins of immortality. More importantly, the Lu family also supported the fight. You are Kong Teichu. Lu Jinggua's slightly widened eyes were already filled with a biting cold-killing intent. He said coldly, you killed my great-grandson. If I don't avenge him, the Lu family will fight you to the death. Don't pretend to be a big shot in front of me, and call yourself an old man. Isn't that right? Jiang Tian looked at him disdainfully as if Lu Jinggua was just an ant. How dare the Lu family challenge me? Then he ignored Lu Jinggua's murderous glare, and looked at the middle-aged man in a Taoist robe. He shook his head and said, Don't tell me their trump card is you? You are only at the ethereal enlightenment level. I can kill you with the snap of my fingers. I am Zhang Jiwei, a disciple of Heavenly Master Zhang Qianlei of Dragon Tiger Mountain. I am here to challenge you on behalf of my master. The middle-aged man in a Taoist robe took a step forward and released a powerful energy. His Taoist robe fluttered like a flag. His face was stern as he smiled proudly. On the night of the full moon during the Shangyuan festival, my master will be waiting for your arrival at the cloud-gazing peak of Yen Mountain. We will discuss the Tao and battle to determine who is superior. His words were like the clashing of swords and spears, sonorous and powerful. The rolling thunder was like an invisible giant wave that pushed in all directions, shaking the wind and snow in the courtyard. The snow and ice on the trees rustled and fell. Special Envoy Shun and the others felt their heads were buzzing even though they covered their ears. They had heard that the Heavenly Master sect specialized in thunder arts, and their disciples were different from the ordinary disciples of the Taoist sect. They were as fierce as thunder and lightning. As for Lu Jinggua and Song Beishan, their eyes flashed with amazement. Zhang Jiwei was one of Zhang Qianlei's senior disciples. He was said to have reached the ethereal enlightenment level. Why are you shouting? Just challenge me. Look at how scared my child is. Jiang Tian glanced at Jiang Wan'er, who was lying in the snow with a pale face. His face darkened, and his cold eyes shot toward Zhang Jiwei. The instant he came into contact with Jiang Tian's gaze, Zhang Jiwei only felt a monstrous pressure assault him. His head buzzed, and his chest was filled with disgust. His throat tasted sweet, and he actually almost spat out a mouthful of blood. He couldn't help but stagger back a few steps. His heart was pounding. This person's spiritual power was actually so strong. If he used 30% of his power, he would probably be able to destroy his soul. When he thought up to here, the arrogance in his entire body instantly vanished, and he hurriedly bowed deeply and said, It was this junior who was impetuous. Master Kong, please calm your thunderous rage. He can challenge me just because he wants to? Who does he think he is? Jiang Tian's expression was ugly. A trace of embarrassment appeared on Zhang Jiwei's face, but he didn't dare to say anything. He said in a low voice, Master Kong, this time you came for the remnant map. My master said that as long as you beat him, the Lu family and the Song family will let bygones be bygones, and the remnant map will also be returned to you. Are you idiots? The remnant map originally belonged to the Jiang family, and it's only natural for it to be returned. How can it be used as a bet? Jiang Tian sneered disdainfully. Not enough. Plus Song Shuangyan's life, the Lu family's assets, and the dojo of Dragon Tiger Mountain. How about that? Well, hearing this, Zhang Jiwei was suddenly startled, and then he looked at Song Beishan and Lu Jinghua inquisitively. The condition proposed by Jiang Tian was too great for him to make a decision. However, he believed that with Lu Jinghua and Song Beishan's formidable bearing, they wouldn't back down. If the two of them didn't agree, it would mean that they were afraid of Jiang Tian, and they would lose their power and authority. They would never be able to hold their heads up high in the mortal world, and their foundation of power would be shaken. How would they be able to stand tall in the Wuxia in the future? Song Shuangyan's face turned pale as she looked helplessly at her grandpa and Lu Jinghua. Song Beishan was still hesitating. But Lu Jinghua burst into laughter and said with a serious face, "Master Kong, you are indeed broad-minded and bold. His aura is like that of a tiger, swallowing the sun and moon and encompassing the world. All right, I promise you." He only thought for 3 seconds before he agreed. Sure enough, he was an iron-blooded veteran who had been on the battlefield for decades. He was resolute and unyielding, and his aura was like a dragon, insufferably arrogant. Song Beishan heaved a sigh and nodded. Then he looked at Jiang Tian and begged, "Can we take Shuangyan away? You and Celestial Master Zhang are both immortal state experts. Don't implicate a junior, right?" "No problem." Jiang Tian nodded. Special Envoy Shen was slightly stunned. Then he smiled and reminded him kindly, "Master Kong, aren't you afraid that she will run away if you let her go?" "Special Envoy Shen, how can you say that?" Song Beishan was trembling with anger. He shouted, "The Song family owes him. He also killed my grandson Song Poju. Which side are you on?" Special Envoy Shen smiled faintly and didn't pay any attention to him. He was a favorite of the chief. Even if Song Beishan had great power, he couldn't touch him. Besides, it was true that the Song family owed Jiang Tian something. Jiang Tian came to ask for it, but you still wanted to kill him. Many senior officials were actually dissatisfied with the Song family. Jiang Tian smiled and said, "I'll let her run away. Even if Song Shuangyan runs to the ends of the earth, I can still kill her. Do you think she can run to outer space?" Song Shuangyan's face froze after hearing that. She remained silent and looked at the ordinary-looking young man with a complicated expression. She had never thought that she would make such a big mistake. She didn't care at all when Lu Liwei told her about it. She thought that even if Jiang Tian came to Yanjin to ask for the map fragment, he would still be afraid of the Song family's power and obey the law. An old political and business family like the Song family was an expert in playing with power and rules. Even if they killed someone or committed a crime, they could still get away with it. But she did not expect that Jiang Tian would not waste his breath at all. During her birthday party, he would barge into Songtao Manor and kill multiple people with just a flick of his finger. He would destroy the Chinese Renaissance Society with just one sentence and blow up the head of Lei Tuan, the fiancée of the Yanjing crown prince. He would then capture her calmly and give the Song family an ultimatum. In the past few days, Jiang Tian didn't step out of Yuhua Manor. He didn't say a word, but he showed his great power. Even though the Song family and the Lu family used decades of political and business power, they were still easily defeated by Jiang Tian's supporters. Until the Song family used their last card and solved the problem in the most primitive and violent way. A battle to determine the winner. Now she suddenly understood. In fact, Jiang Tian could compete with the Song family and the Lu family in terms of worldly power and wealth. And by relying on martial arts techniques, Jiang Tian also had the ability to easily exterminate the Song clan. The reason why Jiang Tian didn't do it right away was that he wanted to take revenge and bring endless torture and fear to the Song family. This way, it would be much more satisfying than killing her with a single stroke of the knife. "You can go now. I'll go to the top of Mount Yan and fight with Zhang Qianlei on the night of the Lantern Festival." Jiang Tian asked them to leave and turned around. When they went down the mountain, Lu Jinghua, Song Beishan, Song Shuangyan and Zhang Jiwei were all silent. The atmosphere was very heavy. "Sigh, I don't know if Master should do it this time." Zhang Jiwei felt as if his legs were filled with lead and weighed more than 1,000 pounds. He was anxious. He knew that his master was the most powerful person in the Taoist sect, and the only perfected cultivator with Tao body, mountain medicine, physiognomy, fortune and divination. The northern sect's Chuanjin elixir cauldron was the best. The Shenong school's medicine art was the best. The other sects like Maoshan and Lingbao were good at talismans and dharma artifacts. However, the southern sect's celestial master sect was proficient in all 5 arts. Zhang Qianlei used these 5 arts step by step and supported each other. In the end, he nurtured a connate Tao body that was impervious to fire and water, and could coexist with heaven and earth. He could summon wind and rain and control thunder. Zhang Qianlei was very low-key. He guarded Mount Yan and protected the Song and Lu families in exchange for preserving the celestial master sect's Tao. The world no longer knew how powerful Zhang Qianlei was. However, Zhang Jiwei, who had reached the ethereal enlightenment, could feel that his master's power was unfathomable. He even suspected that his master had become a half-step mortal immortal. Unless it was someone from a hidden sect or a grand mist expert like Yi Zhantian. Zhang Jiwei was confident that his master would win if he fought with any other expert. However, Kong Teichu was different. Kong Teichu was recognized as the most powerful martial artist in the mortal world in Wuxia. He was also a cultivator of both dharma spells and martial arts. He had once defeated a 28-man mixed army and killed 11 immortals at the incense furnace peak. It was said that the Hongming's evaluation of Kong Teichu was that he had reached the peak of immortal state, the peak of dharma spells, and the peak of physiognomy. It showed that Jiang Tian had reached the peak of martial arts, dharma spells, and physiognomy. He was invincible as long as mortal immortals did not show up. However, Zhang Jiwei was relieved when he thought of his master's decades of cultivation and meticulous preparation. Master has been through a century of trials and tribulations, and has never been defeated. This time should not be a problem. When the contents of the letter of challenge were released, the entire Yanjin society was stirred. On the night that Jiang Tian rushed into Pine Billow Villa, killed people with a flick of his finger, and kidnapped Song Shuangyan, the news had spread to almost half of the upper-class society in Beijing. After hearing the news, everyone was shocked. They couldn't believe it, and were filled with indignation. They said that such a criminal must be brought to justice. However, the rescue operation launched by the Song family and the Lu family was thwarted. Everyone felt that something was wrong. Who could resist the monstrous authority of the Song clan and the Lu clan? Their overwhelming power that could topple mountains and overturn seas. Just as all kinds of rumors were spreading, an earth-shattering piece of news broke out. Zhang Qianlei challenged Kong Teichu to a duel at the peak of Mount Yan on the night of the full moon during the Shangyuan festival. Many people didn't know Zhang Qianlei. However, Kong Teichu had become a household name in Yanjin recently. Chapter 562. Last winter, he had killed 11 immortals and destroyed the Bai family on the incense burner peak. He was known as the arbiter of martial arts in Yanjin. It could be said that in many people's eyes, he was the person that could not be offended in Beijing. He was also the person that all the famous families wanted to befriend. Who is Zhang Qianlei? You actually dare to challenge Jiang Taichu? You're really bold. Most of the rich people only knew a little about the cultivation world. They didn't even know that Kong Teichu was the one who broke into Pine Mountain Villa. They only thought it was a show. However, when the news spread to the martial arts and spellcasters, it suddenly became an uproar. Zhang Qianlei has come out of seclusion and is fighting with Kong Teichu on the top of Mount Yan. Many people were dumbfounded. Ordinary people didn't know, but to them, Zhang Qianlei's name was like thunder in their ears. Zhang Qianlei was as famous as Yi Tianren before and after the founding of the country. People said that Yi Tianren in the north and Zhang Qianlei in the south. Because one of them specialized in martial arts and the other was good at dharma spells, they were also called Yi Tianren of martial arts and Zhang Qianlei of dharma spells. During the Republic of China, Miyamoto Jinoto and other Japanese overlords led the Cherry Blossom Society to Wuxia and looted treasures everywhere. They used cannons, spears, ninjas and onmyoges to destroy the Maoshan sect and invade the main hall of the Chuanjin sect. But on Mount Longhu, Zhang Qianlei had charged through the rain of bullets, soaring thousands of meters into the clouds, and slashed a helicopter with his sword, forcing Miyamoto Genichi and the heroes of the Sakura Society to abandon their swords and admit defeat, promising never to set foot on Mount Longhu again. Before and after the founding of the country, Wuxia was turbulent. Yi Tianren swept through Wuxia, exiled the Han sect, destroyed the 9-story pagoda, killed the Blue Man Society and the Old Man of the Green Gang. He was invincible in Wuxia. What was little known was that dozens of martial artists from the Yellow Flame Iron Brigade had charged up Mount Longhu in an attempt to take advantage of the chaos to flatten the Celestial Master sect. However, Zhang Qianlei had killed 4 Grand Masters with one finger. Even Yi Tianren, who had reached the immortal state at that time, didn't dare to provoke Zhang Qianlei, and ignored the Heavenly Master sect of Dragon Tiger Mountain. However, later on, Wuxia promoted science, got rid of the 4 olds, and emphasized martial arts to suppress Taoism. Science and technology prospered, and Taoist techniques were no longer popular. The Celestial Master sect of Longhu Mountain had no choice but to seal itself off for 10 years. Zhang Qianlei had to live under the Song family's roof in exchange for the continuation of the Celestial Master sect. This kind of person who was as famous as Yi Tianren, and had never appeared in the world, was actually going to come out of seclusion. This could be said to be world-shaking. Zhang Qianlei, a perfected Taoist body cultivator, was as famous as Yi Tianren back then. After decades of seclusion, he would either reach the peak of the Taoist body or become a half-step human immortal. He deserves to be called the most powerful Dharma master. And Yi Tianren's whereabouts are unknown. Kong Teichu's achievements are brilliant and his reputation as an arbiter is known throughout Wuxia. He can be called the most powerful martial artist in the world. Now the most powerful Dharma master, Zhang Qianlei, is going to fight against Kong Teichu. It can be said to be a top battle between Dharma spells and martial arts. Someone shouted excitedly, and his body trembled with excitement. A perfected Taoist body cultivator is on par with an immortal state warrior, and both of them are at the peak of their respective stages. Such a battle has never happened in 100 years. It hasn't even happened in hundreds of years. Someone's eyes lit up. He only felt that his life was worth it to be able to witness this battle. Sigh, I lost to Zhang Qianlei in the past. I wonder what level he has reached today. Maybe he's already a half-step human immortal. Boom. In the Chuanjin sect's headquarters in Mount Zhongnan, an expert in a green Taoist robe walked out of an alchemy room. His aura was powerful, and his eyes were burning with flames. Even though it was the middle of winter, there was an extreme heat in the air. The surrounding snowflakes were all vaporized in an instant. If Jiang Tian was here, he would find that his control of fire energy had reached the realm of perfection. Moreover, his fire energy was bright and glorious, several times more powerful than Lin Zhenyu, who had absorbed the fire poison of the magma for 20 years. Sect Master. In the sect, countless disciples in Taoist robes kowtowed together with reverence in their eyes. Let's go to Mount Yan. The current sect master of the Chuanjin sect, Qiu Xuanji, looked toward the north with deep eyes. Similar scenes were happening in many Taoist sects, such as Shangqingmao Mountain, Yuanyang sect, Lingbao sect, and many other Taoist sections. It could be said that Zhang Qianlei's appearance alarmed the entire Taoist spell world. No one could sit still. I didn't expect that old monster to come out of hiding. It's hard to say who will win this battle with Master Kong. The 6 major martial arts families of Yanjin and the heroes of the Heavenly Alliance were worried for Jiang Tian when they heard the news. If he loses this battle, all his previous efforts will be in vain. Qin Zhong's face was extremely solemn. He knew that this battle was very important. I'm afraid that the Song and Lu families will really conquer the entire Wuxia. After all, they have put in a lot of effort to form the Wuxia Revival Alliance and laid a good foundation. I believe that Master Kong will win. What bullshit is Zhang Qianlei? He should have fallen apart by now. Kong Teichu has killed Miyamoto Genichi and fought an army head-on. Chen Zifen snorted disdainfully. However, his slightly trembling hands revealed his nervousness and uneasiness. Zifen, there are many secrets that you don't know. Qin Zhong shook his head and sighed. Miyamoto Genichi led the Cherry Blossom Society to invade China, but they were no match for Zhang Qianlei. Zhang Qianlei could fight an army head-on during the Republic of China. After decades of cultivation, it's hard to imagine how powerful he has become. After listening to Qin Zhong's story, Chen Zifen and the other juniors were shocked, as if they had seen a ghost in broad daylight. Do you think that the Bai family and I didn't dare to touch the Liu family and the Song family, because we were afraid of the government? Lin Fengnian smiled wryly. Zhang Qianlei is the old monster. The Liu family and the Song family have protected the Taoist sect during the upheaval era. Zhang Qianlei is indebted to them. I heard from Wuxia that Kong Teichu is going to fight again. An overlord in Wuxia, Zhang Qianlei, has challenged Kong Teichu. Someone posted this message on the dark web. Who is Zhang Qianlei? I've never heard of him. How dare he challenge Kong Teichu? Someone couldn't believe it. He must be very powerful. Otherwise, why would he challenge Zhang Qianlei? Many overlords in the dark world had never heard of Zhang Qianlei's name. They were confused and called for the observer to reveal the truth. Zhang Qianlei was born in 1901. When he was born, it was a snowy winter. However, there was a thunderstorm. His mother was frightened and gave birth to him. When he was born, he was surrounded by 5-colored lightning and thousands of lightning bolts. That's why he was named Qianlei. He is the 63rd Heavenly Master of the Dragon Tiger sect in Wuxia and the last Heavenly Master in Wuxia. During the Republic of China, he was on par with Yi Tianren, and was known as the best Taoist spell master in the world. He defeated Miyamoto Genichi, and preserved the Tao of the Dragon Tiger sect. Finally, the observer appeared and gave him a piece of important news. Isn't that a bit too impressive? He defeated Miyamoto Genichi. How come I've never heard of him before? Some people couldn't believe it. Zhang Qianlei is a reclusive overlord who rarely shows himself. He has never publicized his achievements. Miyamoto Genichi's defeat to him was a disgrace to his life. Why would he publicize it? Someone explained. He was born with lightning? Is he a lightning elemental arcanist? Lightning elemental arcanists are the rarest. Someone said. He sensed it at 6, entered the Tao at 10, reached the mystic enlightenment at 22 and formed a Tao body at 60. It is said that he can live up to 300 years old. Tao body. What is that? A realm of Wuxia's Dharma spells. His body is indestructible and is comparable to an immortal state overlord. He once killed 3 paladins from the Pantheon who went to Dragon Tiger Mountain in Wuxia to steal treasures. When he was 40 years old, he killed several martial Tao grandmasters who challenged him with the lightning elemental arcanist. How terrifying! As Zhang Qianlei's origin, status, and achievements were dug out one by one, everyone was more and more shocked. They didn't expect that there was such a powerful overlord in Wuxia. We must go. It can be said to be the most brilliant battle in 1,000 years. Except for the battle between the Western sages and the immortals in history, no other battle can surpass the impact of this battle. In the end, many Dark World overlords were shocked and quickly rushed to Wuxia. They hated that their parents didn't give birth to them with 2 more legs. Zhang Qianlei had defeated Miyamoto Genichi, and even Miyamoto Genichi had stepped into the perfected immortal state. Moreover, Zhang Qianlei, who had been cultivating in seclusion for decades, might have stepped into the immortal state. No one knew. Compared to Zhang Qianlei, who had been in seclusion for 40 years, Jiang Tian, who had massacred Jinling and killed many Dark World overlords, was more famous in the world and received more attention. He killed Xiaobin on Moling Lake, killed Wang Chongyan on Hasa Island, and killed Miyamoto Genichi on Mount Fuji. What was more terrifying was that he had defeated the 28th Japanese Army and Air Force Brigade. He should be the only person in the world who could fight an army head-on. This time, we will send out overlords to observe and see how much Kong Teichu has grown. In the Arctic Cape, the Wolf King Alexander suddenly shrank his body and turned into a human. He walked out of the camp and looked to the east. Artemis continued to observe Kong Teichu this time. And Athena, you have to go. He already has the strength to fight with us. And this Zhang Qianlei can't be underestimated. He once killed the overlords of the Pantheon. In Europe, the pantheon was surrounded by holy light. Zeus's face was unprecedentedly solemn. He looked at the pantheon and said in a deep voice, "Let's go to Wuxia. I can die without regrets if I can witness the battle between the Dharma spells and the top martial artists in Wuxia." In Japan, there was an old and hunched kendo teacher who still walked out of the kendo dojo and rushed towards the airport. Not only Russia and Japan but also India, South America, Europe and the United States. All kinds of hidden overlords gathered in Yanjin. Many of these overlords had lived longer than Lin Zhenyu and Yi Tianren, and belonged to the same era as Yi Tianren. Some of them even couldn't sit still. A Tao body immortal master who has been cultivating for decades, and a top 3 overlord on the power roll. Both of them are at the peak of the immortal state. Their battle could stimulate their potential, and make them reach the half-step mortal deity, or even the real mortal deity, which is the level of saints in the West. An immortal state overlord said expectantly, "We need to observe carefully. It is very enlightening for us." Chapter 563. According to the available information, there hadn't been a mortal deity or a saint in the world for 100 years. It was said that Zeus of the Hall of Gods and the blood ancestor of the Dark Parliament had sent saints during the battle, but after all, it had been too long and no one had seen it with their own eyes. Numerous experts at the Godrank realm were unable to escape the corrosion of time if they didn't step foot into the human immortal realm and saint realm, and they became old and withered successively. For many immortal state overlords, billions of dollars were at their fingertips, and they had no other desire other than to become a mortal deity or a saint. That was why all the overlords around the world were heading to Yanjin. This time, unlike the battle at Moling Lake in Jin City, it was happening in the capital of kindness. Chao Shixiang was facing a formidable enemy, and he commanded Yi Zhantian and the Huaxiaolong formation to keep many overlords out of Yanjin. Zhanlong and many special forces were dispatched to guard and defend the major political and business families. They were on standby, fearing that something might go wrong. If these powerhouses were to cause any trouble, it would be an enormous disaster. Heavens, the commotion caused by this battle is too big, right? I heard that many overlords have come to the world. Countless people were shocked and shocked. Grandpa, the situation is out of control. Zhang Danfeng was dumbfounded. Things had gone far beyond his expectation. He thought it was just a battle of power, but he didn't expect that the Song and Lu families had such a powerful immortal behind them. Jiang Tian had already killed the members of the Song and Lu families. What if Zhang Danfeng came for revenge? Then wouldn't the Zhang clan be wiped out like a baby chick? Yeah, I didn't expect Lu Jinghua to have this trump card. When he said it, I was dumbfounded and forgot to stop Jiang Tian. Zhang Zhonghua was anxious. His position was special, and he had a lot of connections with the Ministry of State Security. He had access to some historical files and he already knew how terrifying Zhang Qianlei was. Can you stop him? Do you know who Jiang Tian is? He will listen to you. Zhang Jinghua frowned and shouted. There's no turning back for an arrow that has been shot. The only thing we can do now is to go all the way. When everyone heard this, they could only sigh. Jiang Tian, I've just hugged your leg hair, but I haven't even hugged your thigh, and now I'm facing such a severe test. You can't lose. On the morning of the Lantern Festival, on Mount Yin. This was one of the famous mountain ranges in the north. West from Wangquan of Zhangjiago and Yang River within Huai, and territory, east to Shanhai Pass, north to Bahang Plateau, Seven Elders Picture Mountain, Nuruer Tiger Mountain, southwest to Guangzhou and Taihang Mountains. Yen Mountain also held a high position in the military. In both ancient and modern wars, it was a battleground for military strategists. In the depths of the lead gray clouds, heavy snowflakes fluttered down. An old man in a green robe and a girl in a red robe with a long sword on her back were climbing up the rugged mountain path. The girl's red Taoist robe was blood red, even redder than the maple leaves on Fragrant Mountain. A gust of wind blew, and her red dress fluttered like a wheel, revealing a pair of naked, jade-like legs. Not only were her legs beautiful, but they also gave people a feeling of surging strength. Her facial features were delicate, and her eyes were picturesque. Her temperament was ethereal, but at the same time, there was a strong murderous aura around her. Her murderous aura almost rose to the sky. Before the snowflakes could get close to her, they were immediately split apart by an invisible giant knife and shot out in all directions. She looked at the tall old man next to her and said, "Dad, in this battle between Kong Taichu and Zhang Qianlei, who has a better chance of winning?" "It's hard to say. Zhang Qianlei was as famous as your grandfather. He had already formed a Taoist body and was proficient in thunder arts. He could definitely defeat the Baikouple and Miyamoto," Yi Zhantian said with a wry smile. "How is Zhang Qianlei's strength compared to my sect?" Yi Karen frowned. "Kunlun?" Yi Zhantian smiled bitterly and said, "Kunlun, Tianshan, Mei, Qingqing, Diansong, and Wudong are all semi-hidden sections. Kunlun is the origin of all Taoist sects in the world. It has a history of 2,000 years, and is the leader of all major sections. Of course, Kunlun is the most powerful one. You were recognized by the sect master of Kunlun, and became a half-step immortal state at the age of 22. You were even faster than your grandfather when you were young. Our family's cultivation methods are all incomplete inheritances of Kunlun. If we can obtain the complete inheritance, I am confident that I will be able to fight against Jiang Taichu within 5 years." Yi Karen's eyes burned with passion. Yi Zhantian added, "But you can't underestimate Zhang Qianlei. The Celestial Master sect of Longhu Mountain is the #1 Taoist sect in the world. Zhang Qianlei is also the #1 Taoist in the world. Father, don't worry. Although the Condor team has been destroyed, I will work even harder in my cultivation after joining the Kunlun realm," Yi Karen said proudly as determination flashed in his eyes. "I have told you that Beidasheng's Condor team may not last long. It is obvious that they are trying to suppress the Huaxiaolong formation. But you just had to join," Yi Zhantian said helplessly. "Hee, I joined the Condor team because I want to fight more," Yi Karen said flatly. "I'm not the least bit interested in your power struggles. In my eyes, Beidasheng, Lu Lishuan, and Song Shuangyan are just ants trying to snatch a grain of rice." "Karen, you are now half-step immortal state. But you shouldn't be so rash and underestimate the heroes of the world." Yi Zhantian stopped in his tracks and fixed his gaze on his daughter as he said those words. He was obsessed with martial arts. He married late and had a daughter late in life. He only had one daughter when he was in his 40s. He doted on his daughter who had stepped into the half-step divine realm in her 20s, and was extremely talented. However, he was also very strict with her in terms of martial arts. "I am also an ant, but I am the one who looks up at the sky," Yi Karen said softly. "As far as I know, Song Shuangyan and Jiang Tian fought because of the incomplete map of the ruins of immortality," Yi Zhantian said flatly. Yi Karen didn't hide her disdain for Song Shuangyan. At the end of the day, she still wants to use the Kunlun sect to her advantage. She uses her power for her own gain. She leads a group of useless people around the mortal world to find more useless people to kill. When had she ever painstakingly cultivated? When had she ever strengthened herself? When had she ever participated in a real battle? Her so-called resourcefulness is nothing more than trash in the face of true strength. Isn't she being forced into a corner by Jiang Taichu like a stray dog? I, on the other hand, want to rely on my own strength. I want to strengthen myself. I don't want to waste my time fighting for power or the illusory ruins of immortality. I am afraid that in your heart, even I am an ant fighting for a grain of rice, right?" Yi Zhantian took a deep look at his daughter, who had shocked him more and more, and said with a smile. "Yes," Yi Karen said without hesitation. "Karen, I am very happy that you can think like this." Yi Zhantian was stunned for a moment. Then he smiled with admiration. "Huaxia's name has always been a taboo for venerables and elders. But I am called Zhantian and you are called Karen. You didn't avoid your grandfather's name. Do you know why? Strength is everything. We pursue the endless martial arts without any taboo," Yi Karen said seriously. "Grandpa wants us to forget him. He is a towering mountain. He will not be our shelter nor our obstacle. We must rely on ourselves to surpass him and surpass him." "Exactly," Yi Zhantian nodded and said with emotion. "Wholeheartedly pursue the path of martial arts. No one can stop you. I have seen this quality in Kong Taechu. Now I see it in you too. Let's go. Yi Karen said no more. She leaped into the air, leaving no trace in the snow. Like a bird, she shot toward the peak. Her movement technique was extremely fast. Her blood-red short skirt was like a flower blooming between the snowy cliffs and the black walls. Every time it bloomed, she would move forward dozens of feet. Suddenly, she would appear on another mountain peak, and then gradually disappear. Soon, the two arrived at the highest peak of Mount Yan. It was also the highest peak in the Yanjing city area, the cloud-watching peak. On the peak, white snow covered the peak. On a huge rock covered with ice and snow, an old man sat cross-legged with his eyes closed. It was unknown how long he had been sitting there. His hair and the corners of his clothes were covered in white ice. His entire person was like an ice sculpture, sitting there motionlessly. He was very old. His body was thin and stooped. However, he was brimming with a powerful aura. Like 10,000 mountains, he was able to suppress the earth and hold up the sky. Junior Zhantian greets Master Lei. Yi Zhantian was shocked the moment he reached the peak. He bowed deeply and saluted. Zhantian, you are only half a step away from the immortal state. Your progress has disappointed me. Zhang Qianlei did not open his eyes. He smiled and then a small piece of ice fell off his face. I am ashamed. Zhantian's talent is not good enough. I have been in seclusion for 20 years. Yi Zhantian said with a wry smile. This little girl is quite talented. Zhang Qianlei opened his eyes. Cold light flashed in his eyes. He said with a wry smile. Half a step away from the immortal state in her 20s? What a pity. It seems that she has mastered the art of Kunlun. Has she been accepted as a disciple by the sect leader of Kunlun? I don't stand a chance. Master Lei, although the Song family and the Lu family have helped you in preserving the orthodoxy of the Celestial Master sect, you have been in charge of the Song family for decades. You have repaid most of their kindness. Why do you have to stand up for them? Yi Zhantian's eyes flashed with a hint of worry. Besides, it is just a junior who owes Kong Taechu something. Just ask her to return the favor to Kong Taechu. You're like a retired emperor in the Song clan. Your words are like gold and jade. I'm sure the two clan heads will listen to your orders. Recently, many overlords from the Dark World have sneaked into Yanjin to observe the battle. The Huaxiaolong formation is about to collapse. He said earnestly. You're like a living fossil. You're the best Taoist sorcery in the world. Jiang Taichu has also swept through East Asia and Southeast Asia, killing Wang Chongyan, Qiao Bin Miyamoto, and other powerful enemies. If the two of you fight, any mishap will be a great loss to the cultivation world of Huaxia. God damn it. Yi Zhantian, you are so rude. Do you think I am no match for Kong Taechu? Zhang Qianlei suddenly shouted and cursed. I will kill Kong Taechu and no one can stop me. Chapter 564. Zhang Qianlei's voice was like an unstoppable thunderclap, rolling in the depths of the clouds like a millstone, wanting to forcefully crush the mountain. An enormous pressure that could not be resisted fell from the sky. The friction between the pressure and the hard rock produced a painful sound. In the rustling sound, some small animals hiding in the snow around the mountain were startled and jumped out. They ran around like blind people, and then fell to the ground, never to stand up again. Master Lei, please calm down. Yi Zhantian was shocked and took a step back. He bowed in horror. However, Yi Karen's eyes were also suddenly shocked. However, his legs were like pillars that crushed the ice and rocks, and he actually did not retreat. Master Lei, my father is trying to persuade you. It's for your own good. Yi Karen frowned and shouted. Yi Zhantian gave her a look and motioned her to keep quiet. Master Lei, that Jiang Taichu's cultivation is very powerful. In Dongyang he once defeated 28 mixed army and air force brigades. My father told me that his physique, spiritual force, and martial arts are all at the peak of the immortal state. He is only one step away from the real immortal state. Haha, it's just that he has learned the art of metal manipulation. Modern military equipment is mainly made of metal. Jiang Taichu is using his strong points to attack the enemy's weak points. He can achieve twice the result with half the effort. Zhang Qianlei laughed. Although he had never met Jiang Tian, he knew him like the back of his hand. But I have reached the peak of the Taoist body and touched the edge of the immortal state. I can be called a half-step human immortal. Not to mention Kong Teichu, I can even withstand a nuclear explosion. No matter how strong Kong Teichu is, can he be more powerful than a nuclear weapon? A half-step human immortal? Yi Zhantian was shocked. Master Lei, you have reached the half-step human immortal state? Do you think I have been sitting here for decades for nothing? Zhang Qianlei looked up to the sky and roared like a madman. A violent spiritual force enveloped the entire mountain. Because he had been practicing the art of thunder for a long time, his eyes were fierce and violent. He laughed wildly. What is a human immortal? Cultivators of the Dharma had to comprehend the great Tao. Within the great Tao, there was a Dharma. Within the Dharma, there was a technique within the Dharma. Their confidence and determination would never waver. The chi of the 5 elements is formed by misunderstandings. Its form is firm, and the 8 evils cannot harm it. If the body does not die after 300 years, it is called a human immortal. Hearing this, Yi Zhantian's heart trembled violently. Suddenly, with a rumbling sound, the blood chi in his body boiled and a blood-red spiritual power condensed above his head. It was like a pillar supporting the sky, tearing apart the wind and snow, breaking through the clouds, reaching 500 meters high. Father has stepped into the deity realm. Moreover, his spiritual force interferes with reality so obviously. He's actually at the God state culmination. When Yi Karen saw this, he was shocked and his face was filled with disbelief. Thanks to Master Lei's guidance, Zhantian was able to break through to God realm greater mastery by 2 levels. Yi Zhantian was deeply shaken. He knelt on the ground to express his most sincere gratitude and respect to Zhang Qianlei. This battle is an unprecedented challenge for Kong Teichu. Yi Karen looked at Zhang Qianlei with awe. She had seen the peerless beauty of the sect leader of Kunlun, so she was somewhat disdainful of Zhang Qianlei. However, Zhang Qianlei enlightened her father with a few words and broke through the barrier that had trapped him for many years. It was obvious that Zhang Qianlei had a profound understanding of martial arts. At this moment, she could not help but look at Zhang Qianlei in a new light. At the same time, she began to worry about Jiang Tian. At the same time, Jiang Tian and Jiang Wan were leisurely building snowmen and having a snowball fight in Yuhua Mountain Villa. As if nothing had happened. Jiang Tian, you are too careless. I heard from Sister Qing'er that you have met a great master. Why don't you practice harder? Jiang Wan wrinkled her nose and snorted. What master? Cousin can beat him with one slap. Jiang Tian threw a snowball. Jiang Wan jumped more than a meter high and dodged it easily. Then she shook her head and said, Jiang Tian, your attitude is not right. Sharpening your spear before the battle. Even if it is not fast, it is still bright. The teacher always says that before the exam. Don't worry, my spear is enough. Don't worry, Jiang Tian said with a smile. Jiang Tian, do you know that you are in danger this time? At this time, a heroic figure walked in quickly. Haha, Chao Jinjia, you are worried about me? Jiang Tian said with a smile. I remember that I almost choked you to death in Poyang village. That was a personal grudge. Now it is a matter of right and wrong. After all, you have contributed to the country. I don't want to see you die. Chao Jinjia's pretty face blushed. Then she straightened her chest and said in a neither servile nor overbearing manner. And this time, Mr. Yi asked me to come. He asked me to pass a message to you. What? He went to Cloud Watching Peak to persuade Zhang Qianlei to stop. Zhang Qianlei only said a few words to help my master break through the barrier that has been blocking him for many years and successfully reach the God realm. Profound success. Chao Jinjia frowned and said, in this way, Mr. Yi will owe you a big favor and can't speak for you. Zhang Qianlei's strength seems to be able to suppress you. I am afraid that he is not a half-step human immortal, but he is close. Haha, I wanted to help old Yi break through once after this battle. I didn't expect Zhang Qianlei to do it first. What a good plan. Jiang Tian said with a faint smile. Why don't we call off this duel? Although the Lu family is insisting, The Song family has realized the seriousness of the matter. The Song family wants to return what they owe you now, Chao Jianjia said with a frown. It is too late. Jiang Tian shook his head and said, now, in addition to taking back what belongs to me, I also want Song Shuangyan's life. Chao Jianjia's body stiffened. Although Yi Zhantian had told her that this was the result of her persuasion, she was still deeply shocked by Jiang Tian's domineering aura. Mr. Yi said that Zhang Qianlei has been practicing thunder art for decades. He is the best sword cultivator in the world. Besides that, he has been cultivating on the cloud peak of Mount Yan for many years. His soul energy has merged with the Mount Yan. Master Kong, please be careful. Chao Jianjia heaved a sigh and gave up on persuading Chen Fan. She turned around and left. Jiang Tian gazed at the northern outskirts of Mount Yan with a long gaze. Thunder art? I have killed so many thunder art masters in my past life. Zhang Qianlei is nothing to me. Amidst the anticipation of the crowd, a full moon rose into the sky and night finally fell. It was the Shangyuan festival, the night of the full moon. Thank goodness we brought binoculars. Even with our status, we can only watch from the secondary peak. On the mountain path of Mount Yan, Yuan Ning heaved a sigh. Chen Jiafu and Yuan Ning had arrived in the afternoon, but they were blocked by the cordon and could only climb the Situa mountain. The first cordon was at the foot of Mount Yan and was guarded by Weirong district soldiers. Most tourists were stopped there, and only a few Yanjin families were allowed to climb the mountain. Even so, their mobile phones and other recording and communication devices were all unceremoniously taken away. After climbing the Situa mountain, a second warning line appeared on the mountain path leading to Cloud Watching Peak. Yuan Ning and Chen Jiafu were stopped there. It's good enough that we are here. It is only a few kilometers away. We can see it with binoculars. Chen Jiafu was satisfied. The highest peak, Cloud Watching Peak, was surrounded by armed Wuxia Dragon Group warriors. They were on high alert, and secular people were not allowed to climb the mountain. Even if your family is rich enough to rival a country, even if your family is powerful enough to overturn the heavens, you will not be allowed to pass. Most of the top political and business families such as the Xia family, the Gu family, the Han family and the Long family were there. Among them, there were also some martial arts masters below the divine realm, such as Zhang Shisan, who was thirsty for broadsword. Lu Zhengguo is here. And Song Beishan. Song Shuangyan. Suddenly, someone exclaimed, and the crowd parted like a tide. At this moment, Song Shuangyan was wearing a white dress with a white flower on her arm. Although her complexion was very haggard and full of sorrow, it instead made her look even more alluring. She was delicate and pitiful, beautiful to the point that it moved one's soul. Sister Shuangyan, are you okay? Li Yanmei wanted to say hello to Song Shuangyan, but was stopped by her father. Don't talk to her. She has no sense of propriety. How dare she offend Kong Taichu and kill so many people? Today, if Jiang Taichu wins, he will definitely massacre the Song clan. If you get too close to her, you will definitely be consigned to eternal damnation by her. The Li clan patriarch said earnestly. Hearing this, Li Yanmei's face froze. She was in a dilemma and looked embarrassed. Lord Lu and Lu Lishuan died because of her. She is a jinx. I heard that she was once engaged to Master Kong, the adjudicator. She broke off the engagement and publicly broke off the engagement. She made Master Kang's family so embarrassed. Say her eyes are also watery. Could it be that she has dog eyes? She didn't see Master Kang's ability? She has eyes but can't see. She can't see the real person's face. You are wrong. I heard that she didn't get engaged. She tricked him into marrying her. She tricked Kong Taichu and didn't even return it. She is so careless. Song Shuangyan, you should be more careful. On the side, Han Qing Li Xiaolin and the other socialites all looked at Song Shuangyan with schadenfreude as they whispered. Yanmei, I am fine. Let's talk later. Song Shuangyan heard this and continued to walk forward. However, her beautiful eyes dimmed. The Song family was not defeated, and the war had not begun. However, she had become the laughingstock of the entire Yanjin. Everyone laughed at her. They laughed at her stupidity for missing out on Kong Taichu's treasure. They laughed at her greed for recklessly scheming against Kang Taechu's treasure. They laughed at her jinx for causing the death of her fiancé, Lu Lishuan, and causing a huge disaster. The head of the four beauties of Yanjin became the head of the Yanjin pig head. The smooth and slick female Zhuge became an idiot. Many people thought that Kang Taechu only had a 50% chance of winning the battle between Zhang Qianlei and Kang Taechu. However, it was still very unwise for her to offend such a martial arts master who destroyed the Bai family and shocked Wuxia. She was acting recklessly. After all, a family of politics and business was not a family of cultivation. The best strategy was to build a good relationship and hide one's strength. There was no need to be brave and ruthless. There was no need to take this kind of risk. They only needed to fight steadily. Everyone looked at the cloud-watching peak, full of nervousness and anticipation. There, the most powerful battle between Dharma spells and martial arts in Wuxia was about to start. Chapter 565. Halfway up the mountain, in a valley next to the winding mountain road, there was a group of young men and women leaning against a super sports car, smoking and chatting. Young Master Pan, do you think Kang Taechu will win this time, or Zhang Qianlei? The punk girl asked with a frown. How would I know? However, Kang Taechu probably won't kill me. Otherwise, I would have died long ago. Pan Jiejun's eyes were bloodshot. The warrior forum said that his flying sword can fly hundreds of miles and take a person's head. Ever since he found out that Jiang Tian was Kang Taechu, he had been uneasy and scared out of his wits. He followed his father's instructions and spoke cautiously. He never said a word of nonsense. Next to him, Wang Xinju smiled disdainfully. Look at how scared you are. Cultivators flying in the sky and burrowing into the ground, shaking the army, and controlling lightning. It's like a Marvel comic. You have to believe in science, okay? Do you know how advanced technology is now? Do you know how advanced modern weapons are? Not to mention nuclear weapons, depleted uranium bombs, intercontinental missiles, and neutron bombs. Even a howitzer has a core temperature of thousands of degrees. Even if he was made of iron, he would be melted into molten steel. These days, she was almost driven crazy by Pan Jiejun and his group of friends. These people taught themselves hacking skills every day, cracked the warrior forum, and collected information about Kang Taechu. They even said that Kang Taechu could defeat a mixed brigade of the Japanese self-defense force. Look, is this something a human would say? As a top student, Wang Xinju had always believed in science. She didn't believe in these false rumors at all. Xinju has a point. A young master next to her pushed up his black-rimmed glasses and said, You don't know how powerful modern weapons are. Take a missile for example. When the propellant burns in the combustion chamber, the combustion products are ejected backward, and the thrust obtained is very huge. An intercontinental ballistic missile with a range of more than 10,000 kilometers has an engine thrust of 100 tons and a power of a few million kilowatts. This power is equivalent to the power of a power plant to supply a city of 1 million people. Even if he was made of titanium alloy, he would be blown into a meat patty. Think about it, if there really are such monsters, how could they possibly survive? Even the great powers of the world would not allow such a monster that could shake the foundation of their rule and subvert the social order to exist. He would have been beaten to death long ago. This young master was Wang Xinju's boyfriend, Fan Yongqiang. His family was from the Ministry of Science and Technology, and he was also involved in weapon research and development in a military-industrial research institute. He was even more dismissive of their discussion. But that's what the forum said. There are also some photos. Pan Jiejun said unhappily. Fan Yongqiang puffed on the cigarette in his mouth and said disdainfully, All of you are just a bunch of kids blindly researching. I suspect that the forum was set up by a bunch of fans of 2D or Xuanhuan novels. All the characters are fictional. What Kang Taechu, garlic is too spicy, onions are too long. Bah, what the hell is that? You guys actually believed it. Just as he was about to spit all over the place, suddenly, there was a rumbling sound, and a strange, mournful howl that sounded like a missile being launched was heard. The extremely complicated strange howl formed a deep roar, just like the strange sound of an airplane starting. Between the mountains in the distance, two burning golden lights pierced through like meteors catching up with the moon. The golden lights were so fast that they crossed the distance of 10 miles in just a few breaths and arrived in front of them. Under the faint moonlight, an old man wearing an apricot-yellow Taoist robe and carrying a peachwood sword on his back, and a young woman with a graceful figure were each stepping on a talisman that was emitting a myriad of golden light. The old man and the young girl stepped on the talisman and stood in the air. The golden light emitted by the talisman was like 1,000 rays of sunrise, illuminating the area and making them look like gods. This is. The cigarette in Fan Yongqiang's mouth fell to the ground. His mouth was wide open, and he was dumbfounded. Oh my God, could it be, all of this is real? Wang Xinju also felt that her worldview had been turned upside down. Yes, the indestructible worldview that she had built up over 10 years of hard work was shattered in an instant. I am a member of the Chinese Society of Singapore, a disciple of Master Kong, a feng shui master from Hong Kong, Su Majai. The old man chuckled, but his aura was so powerful that the surrounding trees and branches all fell down. He sneered and said, "You said something about Master Kong, and it seems that it is not very pleasant to hear. Please be careful with your words." I didn't say anything. Wang Xinju and Fan Yongqiang trembled in fear, and almost knelt down on the ground. How dare you disrespect Master Kong? You should be killed. But since it is your first offense, you will be punished with diarrhea for 3 days. The little witch from Hong Kong was a die-hard fan of Jiang Tian's. She was instantly enraged and threw out 2 talismans. Ouch, I can't control myself. Where is the bathroom? Wang Xinju and Fan Yongqiang suddenly felt a strong urge to go to the toilet. They held their stomachs with both hands and jumped into the grass. Su Majai's arrival was just the beginning. Soon more and more overlords showed up. There was an old man wearing hemp clothes and straw sandals. He held a withered wooden staff and rode over on a giant python that was more than 10 meters long. The giant python was very magical. It could shrink and coiled around his neck like a necklace. His earrings were also 2 small snakes. Shi Tongtian, the grandmaster of the Snake Witch sect in Southeast Asia. He has been cultivating for a long time, and has joined the Chinese Society of Singapore as a disciple of Kong Taichu. I heard that his junior martial brother fought with Zhang Qianlei several decades ago and was killed. Today he might be here to help Jiang Taichu. Some overlords from the dark world discussed in shock. Then many more overlords from other countries arrived. Some of them spread their bat-like wings and flew across the sky. They were marquises of the blood race, and were only a step away from the blood ancestor. They were as powerful as immortal state warriors. Some of them were over 3 meters tall and had fangs. They were the overlords of the werewolves. Some of them were level X wind elemental superpower users. Some of them were wearing golden armor, which was a kind of mechanical exoskeleton that could merge with the body. They were overlords from the Blue Storm in the United States. Most of them were immortal state warriors or were as powerful as immortal state warriors. They had been hiding for many years and few people knew about them. Today, they were here to watch the battle between the immortal state warriors. Of course, the Heavenly Alliance was the most powerful one. Hua Qingtian, Wei Feilong, Zhao Yuankuan, the leaders of the 6 martial arts families in Yanjin, the master of the Chinese Society in Singapore and Li Jinju, the master of the Tanjun Taoist Palace, arrived in black cloaks. There were a dozen half-step immortal state warriors and transcendent state warriors. Each of them was powerful and powerful. Their fighting spirit surged as if it were going to tear the earth and shatter the sky. Although there weren't many of them, they were like thousands of soldiers. Whoosh! A ray of sacred light pierced through the sky. The sacred light enveloped a European woman floating in the air. She was wearing a white gauze dress and a golden armor. She was holding a golden shield and a long spear. Her wavy brown hair was draped over her shoulders. Her eyes were as beautiful as a painting and her body was curvaceous. She was extremely sexy and beautiful. However, her temperament was ethereal, as if she were an elf who had fallen into the human world. She was holy and noble. Athena. She's one of the top 4 main gods and has reached the level of sage. She's only 1 step away from becoming a saint. She's much more powerful than Artemis. An expert from the blood race yelled in fear. The Hall of Gods fought for the Pope and the European government. They had fought several earth-shattering battles with the kindred in history. However, Athena wasn't there for them. She smiled and looked at the top of the mountain. Heavenly Master Zhang, are you not going to show up? My old friend is waiting for you. Her voice was soft and gentle, with a kind of ethereal and holy energy. It was as if an angel was whispering and an elf was singing. It was ethereal but shocking. Athena, how dare you set foot in Wuxia again? Aren't you afraid that I'll eat you alive? An earth-shaking roar soared into the sky like rolling thunder, enveloping a large area. The trees were shaken to the point that they rustled, and countless snowflakes and solid ice fell. Boom! A figure appeared above the cloud-watching peak like a ghost, walking in the air and approaching. Although the figure was thin and haggard, it had a monstrous power, as if an ancient demon had come into being. It was violent, able to crush everything. Haha, we didn't know your strength back then, and offended you. Please forgive us. Today, I'm only here to watch the battle. I have no hostility. Athena covered her chest with one hand and bowed politely like a medieval princess, but her aura was not weak at all. She was neither servile nor overbearing. Seeing this, everyone was shocked. Athena had fought with Zhang Qianlei before. Few people knew about it, but at least Zhang Qianlei was not at a disadvantage. 60 years ago, Athena led a few paladins to Wuxia to steal the treasure, but she was defeated by Zhang Qianlei with one finger. She showed the power of Wuxia Taoism. An old man in a black and white Taoist robe walked in the air step by step. Every step he took, a Tai Chi yin-yang diagram appeared under his feet. He floated over like an immortal. Chuanjin sect leader, Qiu Xuanji. Taoist body has reached phenomenal success and is good at refining inner cores. Hua Qingtian's pupils constricted when he saw this person. Hua Qingtian's face flashed with a trace of respect. He was actually from Shaolin Temple, but Shaolin Temple was seriously corrupted by the secular world and went on the road of commercialization. Many of its inheritances were lost and could not be compared to Chuanjin sect. We haven't seen each other for 40 years, and you are even more powerful than before. The gap between us is getting bigger and bigger. I don't have the face to see you anymore. Qiu Xuanji bowed to Zhang Qianlei and his body bent into a crescent shape. It was the bow of the Taoist sect, showing his fear and respect for Zhang Qianlei. I'll give you some advice later. Zhang Qianlei only nodded to Qiu Xuanji, looking extremely arrogant. I can't see through your cultivation anymore. I'm afraid you are invincible. Maybe the reclusive Yi Tianren can fight with you. Qiu Xuanji shook his head and sighed, feeling like a hero past his prime. Yi Tianren? Zhang Qianlei raised his white eyebrows and snorted coldly. After I kill Kong Teichu, I'll find Hongmeng and see Yi Tianren's supreme technique. Chapter 566. The conversation between the two spellcasters silenced the entire mountain. Only the howling wind could be heard. No one dared to say anything. Even the wealthy families like Lu Jinghua and Song Beishan didn't dare to say anything. As he spoke, Zhang Qianlei landed on the peak. He looked at Athena with a proud expression and snorted coldly. At least you understand that apart from Zeus, no one else among the 12 chief gods is qualified to fight with me. Athena could only let out a wry smile. Only Zeus had reached the level of saint among the 12 main gods. Zhang Qianlei had already seen the truth of the mortal deity, so he wasn't being arrogant. Damn you, heavenly lord! Zhang Qianlei no longer paid any attention to Athena. His eyes were filled with violent fighting spirit as he scanned the surroundings and bellowed. Damn it! Kong Teichu, come out and face your death. You've made me wait for too long. He was small and skinny, but he spoke with a loud voice. His roar was so loud that it could be heard within 10 kilometers. Even the city of Beijing could vaguely hear him. Everyone on the mountain was so shocked that they almost fainted. However, everyone suppressed that feeling of discomfort. They were very nervous as they stared at the peak without blinking. This was because everyone knew that an earth-shattering battle between the strongest cultivators was about to begin. Whether Zhang Qianlei, the best spellcaster, or Kong Teichu, the most powerful martial artist, would be revealed tonight. Zhang Qianlei, why are you in such a hurry to die? I'm coming. A ray of dark light shot from the sky and pierced through the sky at extreme speed. It was like a fighter jet breaking the sound barrier, making a roaring sound that was as shocking as the cries of thousands of ghosts. The dark light suddenly stopped, and a tall figure appeared. He stood proudly in the sky and stepped on the clouds, as if he were stepping on invisible stairs. Jiang Tian was wearing a white robe that fluttered in the cold wind. His long hair fluttered like a waterfall. His gung-metal divine body was handsome and flawless. His temperament was ethereal, and his battle intent was surging. He was like a celestial being that had descended to the mortal world. He is Kong Teichu. He's so fast. Upon seeing this, Athena's expression changed, and her heart skipped a beat. This speed had already broken the sound barrier, and was close to that of Zeus. No wonder Zeus valued Kong Teichu so much. At this moment, everyone held their breaths as they looked at Jiang Tian. The overlords of the Dark World, the families in Yanjin and the overlords of the Sky Alliance couldn't stay calm. Kong Teichu, you're so arrogant. Aren't you going to kneel down after seeing me? Zhang Qianlei's eyes shot out a strange light as he stared at Jiang Tian like two bolts of cold lightning. This voice contained boundless killing intent, murderous, violent, and cold. Within a radius of 5 kilometers, the spiritual energy of heaven and earth surged uneasily. Suddenly, it transformed into a soaring dragon, a leaping tiger, and a dancing phoenix. The divine sound was like a blade, as if it wanted to destroy everything in the world, and slashed towards Jiang Tian. It hurts. Countless people covered their ears and screamed in pain. They felt as if they were being stared at by the god of death. Except for the half-step immortal state overlords, no one could withstand it. They all felt that the world was spinning and they couldn't even stand still. This is the sonorous sound of the great Tao. It's the sound caused by the Dharma power penetrating the world. Qiu Xuanji was shocked. This was one of the signs of the peak Tao body. It was far more powerful than the art of speech. It could mobilize the essence Qi of heaven and earth and form a sound wave attack. It could easily kill a peak stage transcendent state overlord. The sonorous sound of the great Tao. The sonorous sound of the great Tao. The sect master of the Maoshan sect murmured as his eyes were filled with fanaticism, as if he had seen a god. You're just an old man with one foot in the coffin. How dare you call yourself a peak stage Tao body? You're shameless. Jiang Tianlong used the demonic sound chant, and a sound wave rushed out. Every note was as heavy as a mountain, as sonorous as a sword or a spear, as if it was the cry of metal and stone. It was as if a series of invisible heavy cannons had been fired, drawing white turbulence in the air and stirring up circles of ripples, bombarding Zhang Qianlei's sonorous sound of the Great Path. With a boom, the two sound waves clashed in the air. Suddenly, it was as if a cannonball had been fired. A few hundred kilograms of boulders cracked and flew into the air. The trees that were large enough to hold a man's arms exploded. Wood chips and fibers flew in the air along with ice and snow. This is terrifying. It's just a sound wave attack, but it's already so powerful. This kind of destructive power can easily kill a grandmaster. Countless people were shocked. Kong Teichu, this is not a simple sound wave attack. It looks similar to the lion's roar of Buddha, but it's actually very different. It contains powerful soul energy. What kind of cultivation art do you practice? Seeing this, Zhang Qianlei was shocked and looked at Jiang Tian in disbelief. He did not expect Jiang Tian to be able to break his sonorous sound of the Great Path. If you beat me, I'll tell you. Otherwise, you don't have the right to know. Jiang Tian landed on the mountain peak, and walked towards Zhang Qianlei with his hands behind his back, as if he was taking a stroll in the park. He smiled faintly and was brimming with confidence. Zhang Qianlei's sonorous sound of the Great Path was far superior to Miyamoto Geniki's sound wave attack. Miyamoto Geniki used sword chi, which was not much different from a martial artist's chi. Zhang Qianlei, on the other hand, used a secret technique that could easily mobilize the world's essence chi. The chi in his body was limited, while the world's essence chi was endless. Zhang Qianlei was actually superior. It could be said that if Jiang Tian was only at the 5th level of qi refinement, he would have to avoid Zhang Qianlei. But now he was at the 6th level of qi refinement. His physique, qi, and soul energy were more than 10 times stronger. Jiang Tian was confident that he could destroy him. Little brat, you're so arrogant. Then I'll beat you until you kneel down and admit defeat. Hearing this, Zhang Qianlei was enraged. His face was as ferocious as a demon's and endless anger spewed out of his eyes. He charged at Jiang Tian without hesitation. In response, Jiang Tian directly took out the black iron shuttle. With a whoosh, it broke through the air and pierced toward Zhang Qianlei's head at an extreme speed. The two of them didn't waste any time and the battle immediately began. Jiang Tian looked relaxed on the outside, but was tense on the inside. In fact, he was fully prepared for this battle and had refined the black iron shuttle again. There were many black lines on the shuttle, each of which was a talisman that increased attack and speed. Each talisman line was powerful enough to easily kill a transcendent grandmaster. Not to mention there were hundreds of them. Thousands of them gathered on the sharp tip of the shuttle and pierced towards Zhang Qianlei's forehead. This attack could be said to be indestructible. It could even destroy a powerful missile. Clang! Zhang Qianlei's withered right hand, which was like a withered branch, instantly became sparkling and translucent like jade. His eyes shone with boundless coldness. He actually used 2 fingers to clamp the sharp edge of the shuttle. Peak Dao Body. This is the Peak Dao Body. Kong Teichu's shuttle can penetrate a tank and blow up a fighter jet, but it was still stopped by Master Lei. Countless people from the Taoist sects exclaimed in surprise. Zhang Zhuwei jumped up in excitement. Zhang Qianlei is so powerful. On the other hand, Hua Qingtian and the other Heaven Alliance members narrowed their eyes in worry. Whoosh. However, Zhang Qianlei didn't feel good. He felt that Jiang Tian's shuttle was like a high-speed train that contained infinite power. His body suddenly stagnated, and the ice and rocks under his feet cracked. He even slid a step back. Then he tilted his right hand. Whoosh! The black iron shuttle directly disappeared into the hard granite, as if it had stabbed into tofu, leaving only a bowl-sized and unfathomable black hole. Little bastard, you're still too weak compared to me. Go to hell! And he had already sped up again, faster than lightning, and pounced in front of Jiang Tian. His murderous intent shook the world, and was extremely violent. His attack was simple and direct. His fist contained the power of the Dao body and hit Jiang Tian like a raging wave. Why didn't Master Lei use his best Dharma spells, but chose to fight hand-to-hand? Seeing this, an overlord exclaimed in confusion. Once the Dao body is formed, it will be indestructible and indestructible for 300 years. The physique of a warlock at this stage is far stronger than that of an immortal state overlord. Zhang Zhuwei snorted proudly, and looked at the overlord with disdain and arrogance. Many overlords nodded. When one cultivated the Dao body, there would be a qualitative change. The qi of the 5 elements would converge, and be close to a half-step human deity. Zhang Qianlei used his pure physical strength to play to his strengths and avoid his weaknesses. Kong Teichu was in danger this time. Haha, you like to talk shit. You don't look like a Taoist master at all. Jiang Tian mocked him, but he didn't show any mercy. He directly used the gung metal divine body. His right hand formed a palm and a fiery golden light surrounded it. It drew a white mark in the air and slapped towards Zhang Qianlei's fist. Boom! The earth shook and the mountains shook. The entire cloud-watching peak trembled violently, as if it was about to collapse. The two of them didn't use any energy waves this time. They were purely competing with their bodies. But the damage was too great. Like a nuclear explosion, violent energy waves spread in all directions like waves hitting the shore. Around them, hundreds of kilograms of rocks were thrown into the air like plastic bubbles. The thick trees were snapped and fell like withered grass. Some were even turned into powder in an instant. With the two of them as the center, unfathomable cracks that were a few centimeters wide spread out like a spider web. Thump, thump, thump. Zhang Qianlei kept stepping back. Every time he took a step back, his feet would sink a few centimeters into the rock and the ground would crack. He took 5 steps back before he could stabilize himself. And Jiang Tian, just like the towering Taihang, he didn't move at all. His face was calm as if he had just casually swatted away a fly. Kong Teichu, even if you've reached the peak stage of the immortal state, your body shouldn't be so strong. Zhang Qianlei's face turned pale, and fear appeared on his face for the first time. Not even Yi Tianren can withstand my Dao body. Your Dao body is just trash in my eyes. I can crush you in 3 rounds. Jiang Tian smiled indifferently, and his arrogance shot into the sky. It was as if Zhang Qianlei was an ant that he could casually crush. He's too strong. What kind of monster is Kong Teichu? He can take on the Dao body head-on? Qiu Xuanji exclaimed in disbelief. He was a cultivator of the Dharma, so he naturally knew how powerful the Dao body was. At the peak of the Dao body, it was almost indestructible. It was in harmony with the world, and contained surging power. A single attack could overturn rivers and seas, a single force could uproot mountains and break rivers, but Jiang Tian was actually able to block it so easily. It was just too unbelievable. Zhang Qianlei doesn't have much of a chance of winning this battle. The sect master of the Maoshan sect looked serious for the first time. Not necessarily. Athena shook her head and said in a hollow voice, "When Zhang Qianlei fought me back then, he showed more than that." Sure enough, Zhang Qianlei didn't give up and attacked again. "Move the mountain." Amid the violent roar, Zhang Qianlei kicked the ground and jumped up like a mad tiger. He held his hands as if he was hugging the void. Chapter 567. At that moment, Zhang Qianlei's eyes were wide open, and his face was as red as blood. His rising speed became slower and slower, as if he was being hindered by an invisible force. In the end, when he reached the limit and was about to fall, he twisted his waist and pushed with both hands, turning around and smashing down. That smash seemed light on the surface, but in the eyes of many experts, it was as heavy as a mountain. He smashed down with the air, as if an ancient god had picked up Mount Buzhou and smashed it to the ground. It was unbelievably powerful. The first level of half-step human deity, the mountain-moving level. Qiu Xuanji's eyes suddenly became fanatical, and his body trembled with excitement. Only those who had reached the half-step human deity level could move the terrifying spirit qi of heaven and earth from their surroundings, and forcefully compress it into their spells. Every wisp of Dao qi contained terrifying spirit qi of heaven and earth, which could unleash terrifying power in a fight. Mountain moving? It will definitely cause an imbalance in the spirit qi of heaven and earth. Where did you lose the spirit qi? The Maoshan sect master and the others looked around with strange lights in their eyes. They seemed to want to see if Zhang Qianlei had really reached such a level. Jiang Tian's divine sense had already sensed it clearly. 10 kilometers away, a mountain that was more than a few hundred meters tall and stretched for several miles looked like a chafed radish or a grain eaten by worms. The essence of the earth qi in the entire mountain was instantly sucked dry by Zhang Qianlei, and it became riddled with holes. Between Zhang Qianlei's hands, there was chaos and extremely heavy, containing all the earth qi essence of the mountain. It was so vivid that it looked like a small sea mountain. With this attack, not to mention a tank or an armored vehicle, even a super battleship would be smashed into pieces. You really moved the entire mountain. Your control of the spirit qi of heaven and earth is extraordinary. Far beyond Wei Shuofeng, Gong Yuanji and the others. Unfortunately, you met me. In response, Jiang Tian only smiled faintly. Suddenly, rays of golden light burst out of his eyes. He stomped on the ground and soared into the sky, punching out with an indomitable force. You want to use your body to resist my green bamboo mountain's earth qi? You're too arrogant. Seeing this scene, even Zhang Qianlei was shocked. His face was filled with disbelief. If Jiang Tian didn't know anything and took the mountain-moving strike head-on, it would be excusable. However, he was already aware of the situation. Yet he did not evade the attack and used his physical body to take it head-on. This was simply courting death. At this moment, the green bamboo peak had already revealed its true form. It continued to expand like a building, towering between heaven and earth, smashing down on Jiang Tian. Before the aura of the mountain range arrived, the surging pressure arrived first. First, the ground that was full of ice trembled and cracked. Soon after, the towering trees shook violently, as if they had been slapped down by the giant hands of the giant miracle god. They snapped and fell to the ground, and countless branches and leaves turned into fine powder in an instant. In the end, the boulders exploded one after another like ignited firecrackers. The rubble flew through the air and swept up thousands of piles of snow. Retreat quickly. We can't fight against such a mighty force of heaven and earth. Many transcendent state cultivators were in excruciating pain, as if a blade was scraping their bones. Every inch of their flesh was about to be torn apart. They couldn't bear it anymore and hurriedly retreated to the side of the mountain like shooting stars. Do you think you can hurt me with that little bit of earth chi? Only Jiang Tian was fearless. He moved forward and fully displayed the power of the gung-metal divine body. His body was surrounded by an infinite amount of light. His golden body, golden hair, and golden eyes were enveloped in a golden aura and thousands of auspicious colors. He was like a Buddha or a god descending to the mortal world. At this moment, his entire body turned into a 100-meter-long golden light beam. There seemed to be nothing left in the world except for this dazzling golden light. Sharp and powerful. Sharp and indestructible. Body-forming weapon. There are still people who can cultivate such a secret technique? Seeing this, Zhang Qianlei was shocked and he couldn't believe it. He suddenly had a bad feeling. Whoosh. That golden light beam carried all of Jiang Tian's power. It was powerful and sharp, as if it could pierce through an aircraft carrier. There was a loud rumble. The surging and heavy earth chi was penetrated by Jiang Tian, and then exploded uncontrollably. The entire peak was a mess. More than half of it had been indiscriminately hit by missiles and other heavy firepower. Huge pits with a radius of 10 meters and a depth of more than 3 meters appeared. The golden light faded and Jiang Tian once again formed the gung-metal divine body. He stood proudly in the void like a god descending to the world. It's mountain move. This is the mountain move of a half-step human immortal. The people of the Heavenly Alliance were excited and cheered. However, Zhang Qianlei had already attacked again. Kong Teichu, I didn't expect you to be able to break my mountain move. Very good. Today's battle was truly satisfying. However, I believe that the martial Dao is absolutely incomparable to the sorcery Dao. Today, I'll definitely kill you to the point that not even dregs remain to prove my supreme Dao. Seeing this, Zhang Qianlei was not discouraged. Instead, he became more irritable and his battle intent rose again. His silver hair was like dragons and his eyes were filled with endless killing intent. Thunder come! Zhang Qianlei shouted explosively with a voice that resounded like a bell, and it reverberated through the heavens and the earth while its might swept through the surroundings. He rose to the sky and raised his right hand. With this move, his figure suddenly became majestic, like a pillar that supported the heavens. It was as if his hand had already risen above the 9 heavens. Then he pulled his hand down. 3,000 meters in the sky, the sea of clouds churned and large gray clouds suddenly rolled and rubbed against each other like millstones. Boom! Boom! Silver snakes danced among the clouds and golden pythons pierced through the sky. A bolt of lightning that was more than 100 meters long, and as thick as a bucket was pulled by his hand like the Milky Way falling from the 9 heavens. The cold winter attracts the summer thunder, defying the heavens and following one's heart. The Heaven Awakening Stage. The second stage of a half-step human immortal, the Heaven Awakening Stage. Oh my god! Look at Wuxia. It's the first time someone has reached the Heaven Awakening Stage in 100 years. A real half-step human immortal. The eyes of countless Dharma cultivators were filled with tears. In the Age of Doom, the spirit chi of heaven and earth was thin and cultivation resources were scarce. The shackles were difficult to break. Many people thought that the Tao body was the end of the road, but Zhang Qianlei's cultivation level gave them hope. The hope of becoming an immortal. Spells and martial arts. One used the essence chi of heaven and earth to form spells, the other used the spirit chi of heaven and earth to strengthen oneself, but they were different ways to the same end. Above the Tao body and immortal state was the half-step human immortal, and above that was the real human immortal. There were 3 stages in the half-step human immortal. The mountain moving stage, the heaven awakening stage, and the longevity stage. The so-called Heaven Awakening stage was the enlightenment of the heavenly Tao. The body was like a glass mirror, pure and flawless and merged with the world. The body was like a key to open the Tao of heaven and earth. It could directly mobilize a large amount of spirit qi of heaven and earth, and do things according to one's will. To be able to reach the Heaven Awakening stage, and control the most explosive lightning energy in the world, Zhang Qianlei was only a step away from becoming a real human immortal. Kong Teichu, no matter how powerful you are, you can't resist my heavenly thunder strike. Zhang Qianlei held a bolt of lightning as thick as a bucket and looked like a giant python with infinite power, as if the god of thunder had descended. The lightning enveloping him was dazzling and bright, illuminating a few miles. The snow, dead trees and rocks were all covered in a layer of dazzling white, making the full moon in the sky and the lights in the city pale in comparison. Wuxia's spells are really profound. Seeing this scene, even Athena was stunned. She said in shock. The lightning he pulled down is completely natural. It's not inferior to Zeus's divine thunder at all. Zhang Qianlei, is that all you've got? Come, let me break your heavenly thunder strike. Jiang Tian smiled coldly, delighted at the sight of a prey. After returning, he had seen the lightning Dharma treasures of the Celestial Master sect more than once, but it was the first time he encountered a lightning spell. To be honest, even in the cultivation world, there were not many people who could control lightning spells as easily as Zhang Qianlei. At this time, Jiang Tian had already observed that Zhang Qianlei was actually a lightning spirit, or rather, a lightning talent and ability user. He happened to be born in the Celestial Master sect, which was famous for its lightning spells, and received the true teachings. Such a rare combination of talent and luck created a peerless powerhouse like him. I'm your grandpa. Today, I'm going to destroy your body and soul, not leaving a trace. Zhang Qianlei had a bad temper, but Jiang Tian was a master of trash talk. He was so angry at Jiang Tian's words that he fumed and gnashed his teeth. With a furious roar, he waved his right hand. The terrifying lightning was like a furious dragon emerging from the sea, shining with a dazzling light. It bared its fangs and brandished its claws, pouncing on Jiang Tian. Break it! In response, Jiang Tian shouted in a low voice. For the first time, he really made a move. He waved his right hand and slashed down like a knife cutting water. Qi. A dazzling golden qi weapon that was 30 meters long slashed at the lightning dragon like the Milky Way falling from the ninth heaven. Boom. The golden long saber slashed on the lightning dragon, and immediately there was a roar and explosion. The dragon-like lightning rolled and shrank as if it was struggling. Immediately after, the Gungjin saber radiance pressed forward and cut the lightning dragon into several pieces. The lightning collapsed, and like small snakes that had encountered an owl, they drilled into the ground in fear and disappeared. Immeasurable heavenly venerable. This kid can break my ninth heaven divine thunder. He must be the reincarnation of the old demon. Seeing this scene, the hot-tempered Zhang Qianlei couldn't believe it at first, then he cursed. He was shocked. The ninth heaven divine thunder was no joke. It was 10,000 degrees high, and could melt everything. Not to mention a mortal body. Even a peerless divine weapon would be turned into molten steel in an instant. He was even confident that he could seriously injure Yi Tianren with this blow. But now, his ninth heaven divine thunder didn't even touch the corner of Jiang Tian's clothes. It was destroyed by Jiang Tian's wave of hand. Who knew that after breaking through to the 6th level of qi refinement, Jiang Tian's 7th metal divine body, true essence and spirit power were all powerful. At this time, his 7th metal true essence was boiling and surging like the sea. It was abundant and thick, and the condensed qi weapon was also solid. Moreover, the 7th metal true essence was the sharpest and most condensed thing in the world. It could cut everything and destroy all living things. It could also guide thunder and lightning, which was the nemesis of thunder spells. Kill, kill, kill. Today, if I don't beat you into a braised lion's head, if I don't turn you into a barbecue, I swear I'm not a human. For a moment, Zhang Qianlei didn't understand this. It was just that his fighting spirit and anger surged like a prairie fire, rising into the sky and burning the sky. He was very brave and his eyes were as sharp as knives as he pounced on Jiang Tian. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.